Hello, hi, happy holidays, and welcome to episode 192 of the Untitled Podcast. I'm Jason.
And I'm Angel.
And this episode as well, it's kind of all over the place. The gaming news cycle in this post-Smash Bros. World that we now live in has been quite the weird grab bag of, like, stuff. So we thought it'd be kind of fun, given that it's the holidays and all, to sort of treat this like you're getting stocking stuffers, which is the name of our episode. So instead of just going through the news and what we've been playing, we've thrown all our big topics into a box, and we literally get to pick the topics as we go at random and just sort of jump around. It could be our thoughts on the Sonic movie posters that came out. Ooh. It could be impressions of TowerFall. It could be our personal game of the year picks, or like any good stocking, it could be an actual gift. So somewhere in this episode, and I don't know where yet, it's all random, we're going to be telling you how you can win a $20 eShop gift card, as well as our usual episode stuff. So you're going to have to keep listening, because like I said, it's random. That's the magic of randomization. And also, perhaps the first time our podcast name has actually truly been relevant. It really is Random Nintendo for once. So I think it'll be fun. I don't know, it's a little different approach from what we usually do.
I'm just here for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, that's what hopefully everyone's on board for. If there's anything specific you want to hear, like if you want to leapfrog part of the ride, there are timestamps at randomtown.com. There are timestamps. It's
random for us, not for you guys, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you guys kind of know, but if you haven't looked at the timestamps, then it's random for you too. And if you have looked at the timestamps, spoiler alert, I guess. But yeah, so we might as well just jump right in. And after all that about randomization, can I break the rule for a second? Because I really feel like
let's remove the random from Random Nintendo. After talking about how this is one of the few times Random Nintendo's random.
So I'm just saying, like, I feel like we have to start with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
You mean the elephant in the room?
Yeah, really. No, not really the legs of the elephant. Like, it's not so much the movie. It's Sonic's legs. Those weirdly toned, overly humanoid legs that are wearing the wrong shoes. Like, nothing about the legs is correct, not even the shoes. And if you somehow haven't seen what we're talking about, first of all, congratulations on having 2 weeks of peace and happiness in your life. But it also means you didn't miss this amazingly bad ramp up of a reveal that is like the embodiment of the well that escalated quickly from Anchorman, kind of. Like, it's just like it got, you would think it wouldn't get worse, and then it got worse, and we still don't know how much worse it can get. We're like in the middle of it right now. So just to catch people up if they don't know, it started about 2 weeks ago. IGN revealed the first motion poster teaser for the movie, and immediately there were red flags to me. Like, never mind, we'll get to Sonic in a second, but like, let's talk about what's around him first. First of all, there's the slogan of a new speed of hero, which I guess, like, it doesn't really make sense, but sure.
Yeah, they're making fun of breed of hero, so it's speed of hero.
Oh, I didn't put that together. That makes sense. Never mind. I can roll with that. Okay. Wow. But then the other thing, and you would think the guy that does the puns.
I thought you of all people would get it.
I didn't. I totally missed it because I think I was distracted by the other thing.
New breed of hero is like a cliche, so
yeah,
they're
it's a new speed of hero. I think what tripped me up is right above it, they slapped on from the producers of Fast and the Furious. And it's like, I mean, I guess there's cachet with that franchise, but like, it's not a good sign to me when the people behind the movie are like, well, let's see. Sonic is Fast and Furious. Well, that has Fast right in the title, so makes sense to tie them together. Like, they don't really overlap in any, or they shouldn't really overlap in any real way. Like, to me, it demonstrates, at least on some level, like a lack of understanding about the character. Like, I mean, granted, I'm no Sonic expert. Like, when we did our stream a few weeks ago for the Smash Bros. Send-off for Wii U, I didn't remember Sonic's favorite food was chili cheese dogs. Someone had to tell me that, or chili dogs. But wow. So I'm not claiming like I'm the Sonic expert, but I do know that going fast doesn't mean he's like fuzzy Vin Diesel. Like, it seems, I don't know, weird. But I think what's maybe more worrying is that people at Paramount seem to have, at least from what we've seen up to this point, they've kind of just taken the Sonic license and run with it. Like, no pun intended, but like, in like the very same IGN reveal as the motion poster, Tim Miller, he's the producer of the movie. He directed the first Deadpool. He knows his stuff. He's good. He was like, he raised a really big red flag for me, like almost to the point like an alarm or like sending people into underground bunkers. Like, it was bad because he boasted about Sega being unhappy with their choices. And like, why would you do that? Like, he specifically was,
they're ruffling feathers. That's what he wants
to
do.
But they're specifically talking about Sonic's eyes, which we still haven't seen. And he described it as, I'm just going to read the quote. I don't think Sega was entirely happy with the eye decision. But these sorts of things you go, it's going to look weird if we don't do this. But everything is discussion. That's kind of the goal, which is to only change what's necessary and stay true to the rest. So that brings us back.
What is necessary?
Exactly. To Sonic's weirdly toned legs. Because according to Mr. Miller, they changed only what was necessary. But then there's a second poster that came out. And if you look at the second poster where it's Sonic and it's just his legs and feet and he's looking back at the Golden Gate Bridge that he just ran through. If you look at that, almost nothing is not changed. Apparently, according to Tim Miller, everything was necessary to change because it literally looks nothing like. Well, I mean, what do you think of it? You are probably a bigger Sonic fan than me. Like, it looks nothing like Sonic. It's weird.
I guess if someone didn't tell me it was a Sonic movie or if it wasn't, on the poster, I wouldn't. I'd be like, is this a Sonic movie? But I would have doubts that it is. I would just assume it's like, I don't know, just some generic, I don't know, I guess, monster or hero movie where someone has, I don't know, the ability to run fast.
It's Teen Wolf, but mixed with he blew himself joke from Arrested Development.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Sonic cosplay.
It's weird.
Legs. It's very fuzzy.
The thing that I find so bizarre is it's kind of on the money, but kind of not, because so they gave him shoes that are different. He has Converse now with laces. I mean, and in the laces they tied a ring. And it's like, who? In what world are you putting anything in your lace as you walk around? That's not a thing.
That is a thing.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Among kids, among adults,
among people that are into shoes.
I know I've seen tags
among
the
sneakerhead community.
I know I've seen tags
definitely
and
a thing.
Stuff, all right.
I mean, enough so that I honestly
that didn't bother you.
No, honestly, the shoes, they're different, but I mean that's kind of whatever at this point. Because I mean, Sonic shoes they kind of change from game to game. I mean, people hated the Sonic Adventure 2 shoes or Sonic Adventure shoes because they looked over designed, but now I don't know, they look fine. I mean, I don't know, I never really care that much about Sonic.
So it's more the legs for you. It's the weird, overly muscular, slightly too long, short. I don't even know what direction wrong they are. They're just wrong legs.
I mean, yeah, everything else is just so feels like it's in the wrong direction that the shoes feel like the least of it. Yeah. But if we are gonna get into the shoes,
let's get into the shoes. Let's get deep into the shoes.
I mean, I don't know if they saw, but they have perfectly good. I forgot the name of the company. It's a Japanese company, but Elvis ordered these exclusive Sonic shoes, not the Puma ones that are designed to look like Sonic.
The Puma shoes look like they skinned the Sonic from the Sonic movie and stuck it on a shoe. They're just about the same amount fuzzy.
They are fuzzy, but I do like those. But anyway, well, I like both.
Yeah, they're cool. They kind of look like tennis balls that got ripped apart.
Well, yeah, we're talking about the texture, but yeah. Anyway, but there's these other shoes that were Japan exclusive that are literally Sonic's shoe. It's literally just Sonic's shoe, but in the real world, it's just red. Has that white band on the front, has a golden buckle, and they look good. It's like
they're just giving him that.
This is what it looks like in the real world. It doesn't look weird. I mean, I think the issue is people. I don't know if they realize, but kind of like in the Pokemon movie, you expect these characters to look a certain way, and I mean, I don't think anyone's expecting Sonic to look
like this.
I mean, if Sonic looks like Sonic, I don't think anyone's gonna be like, "Oh, he looks weird." They're gonna be like, "Oh, cool, that's Sonic." I mean, just look at that Progressive commercial that I think we brought up last time, or
you told me outside the podcast.
That I brought up last time. It's just Sonic talking to Flo. I mean, he's obviously CG because it's just a commercial, but I mean, he looks fine. Yeah, no, it's just like Bowser in the doctor's office recently. That looks fine.
That's a great ad. Bowser in the doctor's office.
I mean, he's super CG, but it's fine. It's no one needed Bugs Bunny to be realistic in Space Jam or Looney Tunes Back in Action. It's just fine.
Yeah, it doesn't It's weird when the most accurate part of the Sonic poster, and it's not even actually accurate, was that stupid graffiti in the corner where it says Sonic was here. Was, of course, being spelled W-Z.
But the blue blur. That's
pretty accurate.
That's definitely the most accurate part.
But no, the Sonic was here, that to me was hey, it's what, a guy who saw Sonic one time was oh, that's what Sonic would do. That's oh, he has Tood. That's some Tood right there. Why did he write
was, W-U-Z?
Because it's cool and hip, and the kids from 1994 love it. No, I don't know, but that's kind of my point. Is if the most accurate thing is the blur, which is just a line, and then graffiti that if you knew Sonic at passing glance, I mean, maybe
I feel like that
if he was Poochie
questions
from The Simpsons, maybe.
Honestly, when I read that, I'm all that made me kind of think so. I guess they're from Mobius. They have their own alphabet. I guess it just happens to be the same as ours, or that he bothered to learn how to write English just to.
He's living among humans in Green Hill kind of Zone City or whatever they're calling it.
Because I don't want to say Sonic's illiterate, but I mean, given how busy he is saving the world from stuff, I figure he knows how to speak, but he probably can't write.
And that's why he spelled was W-Z instead of W-A-S.
That's still impressive.
It's cool to not be educated, as we've learned these last couple of years. So there you go.
He's clearly educated enough to know all those letters, or to know that those
he
sounds are
phonetically
correct.
sounded it out. Yeah, he's like
he's
half
trying.
literate. He's half literate. Really, we should just be proud of a hedgehog that can stand upright and run and talk. Never mind write.
I know,
but
kind of we talked about Sonic's literacy.
Yeah, I mean, these are the pressing questions that America needs to know. I get it, but yeah, like I mean, to be fair, I don't think we're trying to be overly negative. Like we're not trying to be like sourpuss is bad or anything, but like,
I mean, Sega has nothing to do with it. So honestly, who cares?
Yeah, I just feel like there's potential here.
It's just a shame that this is the mainstream view of Sonic for the next few years.
Yeah, and that's kind of the problem. Is like, even though they have like potentially really good talent behind it, I think Ben Schwartz is probably gonna be a great voice for him. I like Ben Schwartz.
Terrible.
Jim Carrey as
should have been Roger Craig Smith.
Yeah, I guess in a way it should have been. But like having like Jim Carrey doing Robotnik or Eggman or whatever you call him, that's interesting. That has some potential. I don't know what that will turn into. It's a little like.
Have you seen The Grinch? That's what it's going to turn into. I
So
thought that was bad. I kind of liked his Grinch. I think
better than the CG Grinch that's out now.
You
prefer him over Benedict Cumberbatch?
I would say so. He was definitely more Grinchy. Benedict Cumberbatch just kind of seemed like mildly annoyed at everybody.
He didn't just like a slightly perturbed Doctor Strange.
Yeah, he didn't seem like a bad guy. He was just annoyed.
Weird.
He didn't come off as evil, especially because he was so nice to his dog, like pretty much the whole movie, as opposed to Jim Carrey, who
like
pretty much
hated
to everybody,
yeah, including the dog. But yeah, it. I mean, it's just. I don't know. It just feels like, to your point, that like this is what he's going to be the next few years in the public eye. They kind of botched it. I mean, even former Sonic team staff who have worked on Sonic were kind of taken aback. Like, I just love these comments. They all put out comments. One of them was like, I heard a Sonic movie was going to be a mixture of live action and animation, but I wasn't expecting this. Then another guy wrote, wow, with 4 O's. They made a totally unexpected arrangement there, ROFL. So like they're all kind of like, what? But I think that my favorite is from Yuji Naka, who is like Sonic's father basically. And I guess he wasn't consulted whatsoever on the project, which strikes me as bizarre. But he this is his comment. Just gonna read in full from the comments here. It looks like it's very badly received. I wonder if the movie is actually good when you watch it. I see many movies based on anime or games are unpopular. I wonder what or why that happens. Which is a very good question. What is it about all these movies, Sonic included? Why does this keep happening? Like, look at the Death Note movie that Netflix did, or like the live-action Dragon Ball Z from 2009 or 10 or 11. Like, what is it with Hollywood that ruins?
Because they're made by execs and not by people that want to make the movie.
I mean, I think that's part of it for sure. I would.
I
think there's also this weird thing that Hollywood feels like it needs to be real, quote unquote.
I mean, it's not just that, but I mean. It's just, I mean, Pokemon didn't have to be real, but I mean, people are receiving that one positively.
You know why?
But I mean, it's literally the difference between The Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Mm-hmm. One was there to renew the license and money, and the other one is there for money, renew the license, but they also had someone that wants to tell a story in an interesting way.
Right.
They were just missing that.
And I think it helps that they have consultation. Because you're saying, like, Pokemon turned out well, and I think the reason Pokemon turned out well is, like, they found the correct sweet spot between cartoony and real. You know, like if you look at Jigglypuff, like she's fuzzy now, she has a human lock of hair, but they kept the giant eyes. There's no one in the real world, like no creature that has eyes of that ratio to their body. Like they were like, okay, we have to make the concession here. And that's because the Pokemon Company and all the Pokemon creators, they were involved. The people that are doing it, like you were saying, is like a passion project. So they knew that like you can't stray into unselling design because all the people that made this character would be like, what the hell is that? And freak out. But when Tim Miller and company are like, yeah, we just told Sega suck it up, it's like, well, this is what you get, I guess. And I suspect to your point that, yeah, it's cash grabs, and that's why this keeps happening. So, I don't know. Like, there just wasn't an opportunity for Sega to stop them, I guess. Like, Sega was told how their character would look, not the other way around and not somewhere in between, and that's where it seems like the hang-up's happening. So, at least in my opinion. But I think you're right that it does need to be a passion project too. The Spider-Man analogy is a good one. But it'll be interesting to see like how this all unfolds because the movie's not out till November of next year. Paramount, that gives them plenty of time to try to sell us on it. I guess they're already getting kind of snarky in a way and sort of smartly doing this where they're embracing the blowback on the official Twitter account for the movie. So they're playing up the legs, they're retweeting memes, they're saying we'll see you next year. So they're at least self-aware.
Can a guy work out or something?
Yeah, like they're at least self-aware. The writer of the movie tweeted, everyone relaxed. Like I almost wonder if they're like, if this is some sort of weird like viral thing and then they're going to pivot. It's like, actually he looks like this. Like maybe he looks like that leaked poster you were talking about the other day.
Well, that wasn't, it was a leaked poster of supposedly like pre-production stuff.
Right, where the eyes are the main thing we don't know, and his eyes look like cartoon Sonic.
Yeah, and people seem to be like, oh, all right, if you look like that, that's better.
Yeah.
It's not the best, but it's not.
It's certainly better. Yeah. So I mean, time will tell. I mean, given that poster also had Chris Pratt in it, and then they have James Marden instead.
Yeah.
Obviously, things have changed. But time will tell.
Maybe Chris Pratt was the one keeping it somewhat together.
Maybe
before they kicked them out.
Yeah, or I don't even think they got him in the first place. There's a leaked list of who they wanted to cast for it, and it was like such a hot. Like they had Chris Pratt, and then for Sonic at one point, Jim Parsons was on the list. Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory to voice Sonic, which like what? So I don't think Chris Pratt would have said as much as I love Chris
sometimes they don't
on Twitter.
Sometimes they know like promotional material like that is created to show execs to be like, see, this is what it could look like with Chris Pratt. Yeah, it's their pitch.
Yeah, and then the cast list is like dream cast members in terms of both to get the execs to sign off and like this could be a big star draw.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, that's the Sonic movie. I mean, is there anything as an animator, as someone in that world, is there anything about what we've seen so far that you either really like or what are they doing?
Honestly, it's kind of too early to say, honestly.
That's fair, yeah.
I mean, we've literally just seen a silhouette on his toned legs, and that's about it.
What was with the angle of that second poster when he's running towards the Golden Gate? Like, where are we his stomach? Like, what are, like, that's not, there's no way you can position your legs like that where that's all your viewpoint is. You would at least see your lower body.
No, you can.
Not really.
His legs are extended in front of him. You could literally do that right now.
All right.
Just sit down, just look forward.
Here we go. No, because like he's kind of like he hasn't like an angle. Like I see my thigh, my
but his thighs aren't in it. It's just stomach. Like from his shin down. It's like from.
I guess.
I think you barely see his knee, if anything.
Yeah, I guess. But I guess that's just a weird angle because that's not real. Like they're doing it like first person, but then it's not because like they zoomed in past his knees. Whatever. This is getting weird. So should we just pick our next? I think we should actually do a randomized topic. Would you like to pick?
No, you could do the first one.
You want me to do the first one? Yeah. All right. So we have a whopping 5 pieces of paper in here, I think.
Should be 5.
5. All right. Our next topic, ladies and gentlemen, from the stocking stuffer that is just a cardboard box in a cardboard box? What is this? What is this box?
It's a cardboard box.
In a cardboard box. But it's a cardboard box in a box, but they're attached at the hip. All right. Anyway, our next topic is TowerFall. So TowerFall is a game that we want to share impressions of. We've been playing a fair amount lately. It's your game more than my game. I just play multiplayer with you. So would you like to... So how are you enjoying TowerFall? What do you think of TowerFall?
I mean, it's as fun as I remembered it. I remember trying it many years ago. Almost so many that I kind of blows my mind how old this game actually is. I want to say it's at least 5 years old. Is that correct?
I can look that up while you're talking if you wish.
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
But, it just goes back to that bucket of games that we kept talking about we're having way too many of. You know, those quick multiplayer, you die in one-hit games, like the Hat one.
2013.
2013,
so
wow.
5 years.
Yeah, exactly 5 years.
June 2013, 5.5.
But this one, I mean, it just has a lot of clout. Matt makes games. It's kind of gained a reputation from this game, and then they had Celeste this year.
I think they're...
But... I mean, it was just always a fun, simple concept. Shoot an arrow, one arrow kills one person, but they have little mechanics on top of it that make it deeper. You could dodge in any direction to catch arrows. You could shoot them back. You could wall jump. You could wall cling. There are items, kind of like Smash Brothers, that can give you wings, that can make you invisible, give you a shield. And then you have different types of arrows that just add to the zaniness. And it's as competitive or as casual as you want it to be. And it's just really great that you can set up games quickly, up to 6 people. You could do free-for-all, 3 versus 3, 5 versus 1, and auto balances.
Yeah, the auto balance is honestly one of the best things because we've gotten in a habit with our group. We played it. We actually, like, something about this game is, like, stickier than other games of its type. Like, we have gone back to this a lot. We even stopped playing Smash to play this a couple times. Like, that's how, like, good it is.
Well, that's because it's easier to explain to people that don't really play as many games because, like, Smash Brothers is definitely, like, a higher entry point.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but I mean, among all gamers, like,
and some of our friends, that we would definitely, that I don't know, if we play Smash, like, they'd probably just be like, oh, I suck at this game, and they just kind of fidget around and not really know how to recover or just die and like that.
But I've meant like even among our like more like we were playing Smash with a group last weekend, and they were all on board with Smash that were still playing. Like one of them left, but they were all on board with Smash, and then we just like let's do TowerFall instead. We all just like switched over without any hesitation because it's that good.
I consider that group more of a TowerFall game.
Fair. But yeah, it
competitive would be like me, Victor,
right,
Emerson, and Adolfo, and that's it.
All names no one knows except me. Yeah, I get what you mean.
To drive that point home.
Yeah, I get your point. But what I was gonna say is your auto balancing con. I want to jump in because we made like almost a game in the game where we basically Russian roulette. So we're all like really quick. You pick your sides like any sports game where you go left or right, and that's your teams. And we'll just rapidly all run the stick back and forth, and then hit A at one moment. And what's really cool is the game does actually balance. So if it's 2 versus 3 or 2 versus 4, if it's 1 versus 5, it will change the number of arrows you start with, who has shields, who doesn't. And also as you play, it adapts on the fly and gives handicaps. So it feels like it's more competitive and everyone's more
not to say
on
that,
the same level, even if you're not.
And not to say that the names that I named are any less casual in general, just that,
In case they're listening.
no, it's just that, no, because I don't want to take away the competitiveness of TowerFall, because it can be a very competitive, very like mind manipulative game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Smash Brothers is just
a different level.
Yeah, it's just a lot more complex. Like if you weren't invested in it since the Wii, then Smash Brawl or Smash Wii U or Smash Switch is going to be, I don't know, it's not going to be as fun as something like this.
That's true, because like this is a weird example, but Chrissy Teigen on Twitter talks about video games a lot. She's a big Nintendo fan. She bought Smash and she's like, "What is going on? I don't like this," and has not gone back to it apparently. Like Bill Trennan's responding her on Twitter, like, "We'll teach you how to play. It's fine." She's like, "No, I need something simpler." And then way forward's like, "You want to check out Shantae for the Switch?" And gave her a code, and she's like raving about it on Twitter now. But yeah, so to your point, it isn't an easy entry point necessarily for everyone. Not like TowerFall, which is simpler. How's single player though? Because I've only done multiplayer with you guys, which is really, really, really fun. And there's so much variety in stages. The characters are all basically the same, but the stage variety, even within the same like theme of stage, is so different.
I mean, single player, it's similar. You could play with 1 or 2 people in one mode, or there's a mode that supports up to 4 people in little campaigns. You can kill each other, but you can't jump on each other. Jumping on other people kills them, but not in cooperative mode. And you just fight monsters. They spawn until you're pretty much fighting waves of monsters until you get through all 6, 7 waves, and then you go to the next level. And at the end of every 4 or 5 levels, there's a boss, and the bosses are pretty creative. They all have like that giant eye you have to destroy, but sometimes you have to dodge tentacles that appear from the top and bottom of the screen. Sometimes they're shoot projectiles that bounce all over. It's challenging, but it's fun.
And so how much? It's 20, right?
Yeah, it's $20.
I mean, we've probably gotten our $20 worth just off the multiplayer. Like, we've literally been playing it.
It's worth $20, but
it is an older game. So
yeah, it's a pretty old game. I don't know if you can get it on sale. Get it on sale, but yeah, I'd say it's worth the $20.
It's very good. It's fine though, because like it came kind of at a good time too, at least in my opinion, because like it sort of filled the pixely local multiplayer void that I think I was expecting Killer Queen Black to kind of fill, because like it earlier this year was at E3. And it seemed like that would be the big multiplayer indie game this holiday on Switch, at least in our group, our social circle. And they're different in terms of the gameplay. Killer Queen Black is more team, or more. It's more strategic. It's not just one hit kill. You have multiple ways of winning. Different people are doing different things on the team, so it is different in that regard. But like when it got delayed, TowerFall just kind of conveniently swapped in and sort of fills that niche a little.
Yeah,
which is kind of a nice coincidence. But the delays for Killer Queen Black actually do seem justified. Finally, the developers are talking about it again. They published I think they call it like State of the Game or something like that blog post, and they were highlighting all this stuff they're adding. They're gonna have cross-platform chat, which for an indie game I feel like is not that common. Like outside the Rocket Leagues of the world. Interestingly, one of the things they're gonna do with the chat is you can do push to talk. Almost like the Nextel walkie-talkies from back in the day, or the Apple Watch walkie-talkie, which. Like, not a lot of games I feel like do that, but it's kind of an interesting idea, because if you don't want to deal with the annoying banter of a 9-year-old who's cursing up a storm, but you do want to be able to coordinate who on your team in Killer Queen Black is, like, doing berry, or it's, like, on berry collecting, or who's the one that's going to try and kill the queen, like, it kind of
I want to say that is the norm in PC games.
Is it?
Yeah, because...
well, not on console.
No, yeah, not on console,
yeah,
but I know it's the norm in PC, because I remember, there are a few games I played online on my Mac, because obviously not that many games are compatible on the Mac, but
right.
I mean, it was a thing for Left 4 Dead. I know it's a thing on Overwatch. I know it's a thing on like Call of Duty that you play online. Or
I don't know, maybe it is more of a new to console thing.
Yeah, I think it's usually T, to talk.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But they're all and even if you don't want to talk, something they're adding, because they're all the rage now. Emotes are in there. Non-verbal alerts are in there. Like, there are ways you're able to communicate with other players, which I would say that was our big question coming out of E3, because we went back and played Killer Queen Black a couple times at E3. Like, it was really fun. We were playing with the devs and other random people and whatnot, but I feel like leaving it, I don't even know if we expressed it on the podcast in June. I think we did, but leaving it is kind of like, okay, this makes perfect sense for local multiplayer, but one of the big new selling points is it's also online now. That's like a step up above the arcade version, which is just Killer Queen. How does that work if you can't communicate or anything? And it seems like here are the answers. There are ways to communicate. So, I mean, yeah, I would say for me at least, and TowerFall kind of is what reminded me of this, but like, it kind of fell off my radar, Killer Queen Black, but it's probably one of my more anticipated indie games for 2019 at this point. Like, it was really good. And to give you guys a sense of it, it and Overcooked 2 were like the two indie games that Nintendo was pushing at E3.
Haven't touched Overcooked 2 yet.
You haven't?
I mean, and we barely touched on it just to like, because we finished 100%ing Overcooked 1. Mm-hmm. We weren't going to stop playing it. We beat it a while ago, but we didn't want to stop playing it until we got
100%
perfect ratings on every single level. So we went back and beat every single level.
This is Overcooked 1, right?
Yeah, Overcooked 1.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, we've played a ton of it, and now, yeah, Smash Bros. Came out, so.
Yeah, well, hey, 2019, your guy at some point need to take a break.
No.
Oh, you're right, not 2019. I should rephrase. In 2025, you're going to be like, whew, this starts right, or not, right? It's this, carpal tunnel from all my smashing. I need something that's a little more leisurely. And you'll be like, Overcooked is not that because it's still very chaotic, and move on to something else.
By then, there'll be a new Smash Brothers.
Probably. Well, did you hear that Sakurai was saying he doesn't want to do another Smash until, like, basically the next console generation?
Since when does Nintendo care what Sakurai thinks?
Well, that's true, but it's not really so much he doesn't want to. He doesn't expect Nintendo to ask him to until the next console, which is like 8 years from now.
Fine.
So yeah, 8 years from now.
The longer a Smash sticks around, the better.
Yeah, especially if you want to make it a competitive thing. It's definitely going to be a long tail evergreen title.
I mean, like, DLC and all that stuff. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's TowerFall and more. Next topic, I guess. This is such a weird way of doing this, but it's kind of fun. Do you want to pick the next topic?
Sure.
All right, our next topic is...
Oh, Game of the Year picks.
Game of the Year picks. All right. So this one actually I'm kind of excited to do. So every time we finish up a year of shows, we like to kind of look back and the last 12 months and what it was and what sort of things we really enjoyed. And in the past, this has taken a few different categorizations, I guess you could say. There are different platforms. We had 3DS and Wii U, then we had Switch and 3DS. This year, we decided to keep it Switch-centric because, 3DS had a couple games, but, like, I didn't really. WarioWare was my one. I don't even think you bought any. Maybe.
The 3DS?
So, yeah.
No.
You went back and played stuff. I remember that.
And if we didn't make a Nintendo-centric, my overall Game of the Year would have been God of War.
Which you can still, it still counts if you want to talk about why for a minute. It is fair game. Game of the Year. I'm just saying in terms of categorizations, we have like buckets, but...
Oh, yeah, but I already gushed about it. I mean, that's my...
Well, you finished it in the time since you gushed about it, right?
Yeah.
Right, so...
No, I still talked about it after I...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, people know why I like it. It's a great game. Try new things.
It is
brought
cool.
life to a franchise that I thought didn't really have another direction to go to. It made me think that it wasn't going to work, but then after I played it, I found out it worked really well, and I thought it was even better than what I even thought. So
right.
I feel like that's definitely kind of like Breath of the Wild, like why I picked that one over Mario Odyssey, because that one felt like
I was about to compare it to Breath of the Wild right now.
A bigger risk and a bigger change than worked than Mario Odyssey. That one just felt more like, me too, look at me, I could also be open world, and it just came off as, I don't know, pandery and easy than exploratory.
Wait, you think Mario came off as being open world?
No, like like
Mario. No, dude, Odyssey was like 64 or Sunshine on steroids. It was definitely not an open world.
No, I know. It was just when I was comparing it to.
Okay, I get what you mean. But yeah, so for this year, we could go back into. I feel like every 4 episodes, we're like, so about Mario Odyssey, and get almost on the cusp of launching into another debate about it. Mario Odyssey is our new Star Fox 64, where we have very different views of it. But
I don't dislike it.
No, I know, but we have very different perspectives on its achievements, I guess you could say. But this year, we were thinking we could do a Nintendo-made game.
Achievements. That implies it achieved something.
See, exactly. There you go. But yeah, we were thinking, let's dig deeper into that, shall we? No, we were thinking this year...
I did get Bowser in a pretty snazzy tux, so that is a pretty big achievement.
Right? Yeah, and don't forget the hat. Not Cappy, I mean Bowser's top hat.
I know, the whole outfit.
Yeah, the whole outfit was pretty solid and glistening.
Yeah, we got a good amiibo out of that, so that's 2 achievements.
Yeah. 3 if you count the fact that you have multiple cutscenes of him both in and out of costume that you wouldn't have otherwise. So you have the existence of the costume, the existence of a physical incarnation of the costume.
To animate his hair flowing, that's an achievement.
Well, they've done that before too, because remember Hipster Bowser from the new 3DS campaign in Japan? He had a nice comb over.
No, I'm talking about the flowing hair, not the way it's combed.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. He had hipster glasses in that campaign too.
Oh yeah, that's all.
Bowser's been through many transformations. But anyway, this year,
like everyone in the Mario universe besides Mario, I mean,
everyone's been able to.
Everyone in the Mario universe is very, like they could give them kind of whatever personality, or they can give them a personality.
Yeah.
But Mario, I guess they're not allowed to touch him.
Well, I feel like Mario's very much like Link in the sense of it's supposed to be like a conduit for you. You are Mario, so they don't want to push too much on Mario because that, in Nintendo's mind, is telling you how your avatar should be. Like that's why Link has always been quiet. He's a Link,
which makes sense because which explains why they pretty much go all out on everyone else.
Yeah, because they're making up for the lack of personality on the hero. It's it's like in all the Mario and Luigi's or all the Paper Marios. Mario never talks. They'll be like, "Oh, Mario's gonna tell me something," and then it's like, "Oh, thanks, Mario." It's like, right, because you as the player who are Mario already know, so they don't need to waste your time. Well, a lot of other games would be like, "Oh, no, you're just embodying this thing," so you'll watch them explain it to someone else or whatever. Just a different mentality, I guess. But so Game of the Year this year, we were thinking a Nintendo game and a third-party or indie game on Switch because there's a lot like. There's over 1,000 games on Switch now, right? So it's hard to, and obviously they didn't all come out this year, but it's kind of like, well, you could say Pokemon Let's Go is your game of the year, and that's fine, but there's like a bunch of other games that possibly don't really, it's not like Pokemon Go's better than game X or Y. Like none of these games are better than the other game. These are just what resonated with us on a more personal level or on a higher level. But it feels like there's a chance for one to resonate because it's like, oh, Nintendo, and we're Nintendo fans, and there's one that can resonate as, oh, this is just a really quality product on a Nintendo platform. So that's kind of the thinking behind it, I guess. But actually, before we get to the games themselves, a quick shout out to Nintendo's Damon Baker, who's kind of he's sort of like the Sherpa of all the indies. He made so much of the Nindy scene what it is, along with Kirk Scott. He announced on Friday he's leaving Nintendo after being there for 12 years. So that's kind of a big thing because he was the face of Nindies along with Kirk Scott eventually, and he hosted the showcases. You'd see him at indie events, and I feel like starring with Damon Baker specifically, that's when Nintendo really opened up to being more indie friendly and turning into the go-to indie platform that Nintendo now is. Like remember in the Wii days when we were like, "Ooh, they have like 7 developers. Wow, look at you, Nintendo," and they were like really closed off about it. Now it's like the polar opposite. Possibly, you could argue too much. We might be going too far into Steam territory, but Damon Baker's the one who helped guide the division that did this into making those connections and making that a reality. So whatever indie games we pick in some way, in some capacity, are thanks to Damon Baker's work. So I don't know where he's going, but it was always kind of cool to see him at E3 when we went to the indie mixers because he was there, and it wasn't just like he was schmoozing and like networking. He was actually like trying games and like seeing what might be a good fit for Nintendo, and he's also very tall. It's very easy to spot him. But yeah, I think Nintendo's probably at a good point now where they have a whole team that's able to do this. Like obviously he and Kirk Scott alone were not the two that were doing it. There was a whole bunch of people behind them, so those people already kind of they know what to do. They can hit the ground running, but his impact was pretty big for the Nintendo indie scene. So I'd be curious to see where he ends up. And yeah, the indie thing just reminded me that's probably worth mentioning that this is happening. Anyway, Angel, why don't you kick things off with Game of the Year? What's your, I don't know, what do you want to do first? Indie, Nintendo?
I don't know.
Indie, I guess? We were just talking about Dan Baker, so might as well, why don't we start with indie?
All right. For indie, well, yeah, it's Celeste. I like Celeste.
So what makes you say so? I mean, Celeste, I have not played it, but obviously I was at the Game Awards and saw how much praise it got. What is it about Celeste that really...
There's a difficulty. I mean, I just like difficult games. It had really well designed difficult levels. I mean, I love those games that. I mean, it's just you pretty much learn to beat it as you lose, and when you die, you respawn quickly. I don't know. I mean, the story it's a good story, but I mean, what got me was just the difficulty. There isn't really much more to say to that. It's just a good, difficult, hard game. It's just what I needed after Odyssey.
Yeah, and the story, because Odyssey is too easy for you. Yeah, and the story was just kind of a nice accessory to it. Because some people are like raving about the story being like the main reason you should play it, but it sounds like for you at least, gameplay.
Yeah. I can see
that's fair.
Yeah, and it's easy to see why the story would grab people. I mean, it's about someone battling depression and not really having a goal with their life, so they just kind of made an arbitrary goal. Like, I'm just going to climb that mountain, and everyone's like, why are you doing that? Like, what's the point? And they're like, well, I just want to see if I can do it, just to see if they can. Just to, just have a goal.
You know the sad thing, because I don't really always beat my games, I'll never climb that mountain. That's not commentary on me as a person, I swear. But Gesundheit. But yeah, it's I feel like would you say it's too difficult for me?
No, because they even have a Winnie Hut Junior baby mode.
They have a what? What's it called?
I just called it a Wiener Hut Junior baby mode.
Oh, I mean,
no,
I'll take that name, I guess.
No, they have an assist mode that pretty much just makes it so you can just enjoy the story and just play the game.
Interesting. Maybe I should check it out then, because it's getting a lot of praise, and like if you're saying it's one of your favorite indies, that's
it's not. Well, there weren't that many indies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really good one. I mean,
yeah.
I would say it's up there with one of my favorite indie games, but I don't know. I'd be pleasantly surprised if you beat it even with the assist mode, just because the game is not long. It's like if you were to just power through it, you could maybe beat it in under an hour. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I first need to buy it. That's step one. But in the interim, I guess the game I picked for Indie Game of the Year is The Gardens Between, which regular listeners may recall I shared impressions of back in September, which isn't all that long ago. But at the time, I was really going on and commending it for using time-based puzzle platforming in a really clever way. Like, for those who aren't familiar with the game, you're following a pair of characters, but you're not actually controlling them. Instead, you're manipulating time around them. So you're either scrubbing time forward or backward, and that sends them on whatever path they're set to go on. But along with controlling the flow of time for them in the level as a whole, that overarching flow of forward or backward, you can also highlight specific objects in the level and rewind or fast forward those on like a separate timeline, if you will, than the rest of the level. So there's like two tiers of time manipulation going on. And as I think I said probably back in September when we talked about the game, that makes really clever puzzles, because it's not just you do one thing and that affects another thing, but you can literally have one go forward, one go backwards, and have multiple layers to the puzzle. And then when the cleverness for me, where it really came into play, was you see an object and assume it works one way, but then you have it do something else entirely as you go through the puzzle. Like the simplest form of this is there's this giant VCR, and it spits out tape, and it turns out that tape becomes a platform, but you don't really think, oh, that's going to be a platform. Like, oh, it has something to do with the puzzle. It's like, nope, we're messing with your expectations. It's got to be a platform. And obviously that's the most mundane, boring, simplest explanation I could think of, but the complexity grows from there. But the thing that I kind of like picked up on when reflecting back on the game now, like I was kind of mentally going through some of my favorites of the year and indies I played, and the thing that I was like, oh, what's really cool about that, like looking back at it, is the vibe of the game so perfectly captures this thing it's trying to convey. Like the basic premise of The Gardens Between is there are these two kids and they're going through old memories, and each memory is sort of this dreamlike state where mundane objects like the VCR or a light bulb or what have you, they end up taking on roles you don't expect. That's kind of the thing. Is like, this memory, but it's not the memory you think it would be. And what sort of stuck out to me when thinking about this is that through all its clever puzzles and atmosphere and everything, the game's actually doing a really, really good job of recreating the actual feeling of having childhood nostalgia. Like, think about your own memories when you were a kid, right? If you remember the person you hung out with super well, and you have these little slices of specific events, and you may not have the memories in chronological order, like you may not even fully remember them correctly, but you have these slivers of it. And the events may be mundane, they may not be special at all, but they're these very specific things that stood out for some reason and stuck with you. And what Gardens Between seems to have done is kind of captured that, and then sort of wrap really clever, fun puzzle platforming around it. Like the VCR thing and whatnot. Like that shouldn't make for interesting gameplay, but they turn a really mundane thing into something interesting by having it stick out to you because it did something different, or it's just weird or whatever. It's like dreamlike, and I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know. Like I think that's what for me at least made The Gardens Between stand out against other indies. Like I like Pizza Titan Ultra. It had the ridiculous factor in its favor, and I love Crazy Taxi, and it's kind of like that. And I thought Cluster Truck was a cool game because it basically took the idea of like randomly generated super difficult platformers and flipped it on the Z-axis. So instead of running left to right, you're running into the screen. And I thought that was a fun like arcadey experience. But there is, I don't know, like Gardens Between, it did a cool job of presenting this really awesome gameplay inside of a theme that just resonated with me because of the nostalgia, probably. I don't really know. But I just thought, like, looking back, I'm like, oh, that's actually really like it goes deeper than what I described it as in September in terms of the theme. And I thought that was very cool. So that's why I picked that game.
Curious to hear how the game develops as you progress in it.
Yeah, I actually did go back to it after talking about it in the last episode. after playing. I did go back to playing it after playing it, but yeah,
it's really good to hear.
Yeah, it's not done. I should be clear. I'm still not 100%, but it's getting there.
If there was ever an endorsement for a game, it's Jason returning to play it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's just so I don't know. It's just it really doesn't like it captures that sort of childlike like the fog of memory in a way, but in a good way, not in a bad way. Before we get to our first party picks, I do want really quick. You got to briefly talk about God of War, so I'm gonna sneak in a shout out to WarioWare Gold. I sort of mentioned it at the top, but like WarioWare Gold deserves better than it got. Like this was a really good game. It's probably the only 3DS game I bought this year, but it came out in August. It didn't hit number 1 on the 3DS chart of the NPD, which, like, considering there's nothing else to buy that's new, it should have. And then it significantly went down the list from there. And the NPD for November came out, and it just wasn't there, like, at all. Like, no one's buying it. And to me, that's a bummer because it's a very good game. I mean, yes, it's a remake, but it's from the ground up. I didn't notice till after I already played it and talked about it on the show, but I was doing a Kotaku interview, and apparently all the micro games that they had in the game were all actually recreated. They weren't just like copy pasted. They recreated them, they changed them, they adjusted physics, they adjusted other stuff, and then it has a whole new story, all new scenario on top of it. Some of the voice acting, some of the best cutscenes in the WarioWare series, in part because of the voice acting. And it just deserves better as a result. So, like, I'm not going to say it's a Game of the Year pick because it's literally the only game I played on 3DS. So I guess by default it is for the 3DS. But it's just, the game deserved better. So in the same way that you're like, God of War is really cool and you should check it out, I'm just slipping this in here even though it kind of doesn't fit a category. It's like, WarioWare Gold is really cool. You should check it out. You should help keep this franchise alive because it's one of the best Nintendo makes. So, yeah. So with that said, I just wanted to insert that. With that said, what's your first party pick? Unless you have thoughts on WarioWare Gold, it's not like you were about to say
I was just gonna say that I kind of like to, like, in the same vein, like I feel like I have to mention Super Mario Party just because I feel like that game also deserves a lot of praise for, you know, like Mario Party went down a dark road, like the last, like literally.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
Like it literally drove down a dark road that forced everyone into the same car, and I'm glad that they came back from that place and burned that bridge down, and finally saw the light. So it's just nice.
Wow, you've been thinking about this metaphor for a while. Or not metaphor, but this whatever you want to call it. Anyway, sorry, you're saying.
But yeah, like it's just nice seeing Nintendo for once go like take a huge step in the right direction. Not like a monumental step, but just a nice big step that kind of gives you reassurance that Mario Party is heading in the right direction. Yeah. And it still sprinkled in some new ideas that I don't know, I'm really hoping. I don't know how Mario Party did. I'm assuming it did well.
Super well. One of the best-selling Mario Parties ever. It's at 1.4 million in the U.S. alone. It was I'm just because I know these things. It was number 12 on the NPD's top 20 for November, 2 months after its release, or 2 sales charts after its release. Like it's killing it.
And kind of like I said when we first talked about it, like I'm glad that they set the ground floor because this was like Nintendo kind of playing it safe. It felt like a safe Mario Party. They didn't really do anything too crazy. They just brought on ideas they already had from like pre-existing 3DS games and basic Mario Party, which now means they can go all out on the next one. So hopefully this is better for the future.
I still kind of want them to make Super Mario Party be a platform, and then they just release DLC for it. I think realistically, you're right. They're going to do an actual sequel, and they're basically the same way they did New Super Mario Brothers. They're going to do that with Super Mario Party. Even the way
their menu setup almost kind of feels like I mean, you kind of see it expand the more you play, but I was kind of hoping that, like, oh, maybe it expands more with DLC, or maybe, like, but it's just the expansion path. Like, maybe the next Mario Party is just, like, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, where it's its own game case that comes with everything before it, or if you already have Super Mario Party, it's just $10, and it just adds to it.
If they do that, my one request is to not slap ads for other things on the bodies of the Mario Party characters. You've seen that, right? With Street Fighter, where they're slapping ads for the Street Fighter tournament on the characters. Like, they're replacing tattoos with, like, ads. Like, it's bad.
But, I mean, or even just, like, and hopefully they do, like, bring back costumes. I know people just love costumes. We kind of talked about why they didn't have them in Smash Brothers. Like, like the Mystery Island costumes, or the...
Yeah. Or the cowboy outfit.
Or the cowboy outfits, or the spooky ones. Yeah, spacesuits.
Yeah, I honestly think, like, the more I think about it, the more I'm starting to think it's not. I want it so badly to be a single platform of sorts. Like, make it, you know, they're really good. They're gunning for evergreen with this. They're saying that, and DLC does that. And I think there's 2 routes that happens. One is they just leave it as is and see what happens. And 2, they do DLC, but I suspect since they haven't talked about it yet, like they haven't gone the Zelda route, they haven't gone the Smash Bros route where we knew up front. Maybe they're looking at Mario Kart as an example, because Mario Kart, they were just like, hey, surprise DLC next week or whatever when they first did Mario Kart 8's DLC, right? And I feel like if they were to do DLC, they might be doing it that way. Because almost every game they announced it up front, but I think Mario Party, it's almost, they probably didn't know it was going to do this well. Because it is basically a soft reboot. And that could go one of two ways. It can either work or it won't. So they might have just been waiting to see, and maybe now they're doing DLC, or they go full new Super Mario Brothers, and they just keep releasing new ones with the new name of Super Mario Party. So next will be Super Mario Party 2, and they bring back the costumes for 2. Then Super Mario Party 3, they go away again, but they bring back something from Mario Party 3, and on and on. Like, I that's realistically what I think is good. One of the two options. Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is they're either going to make a sequel because it sells well, or they're going to make DLC because it sells well, which is the safest prediction I've ever made. But no, seriously, like I think this isn't the last we're going to see it.
Guys, Nintendo's working on a Zelda game.
Guys, I don't know if you heard, Mario is really popular right now, and Nintendo probably has a couple games starring him in the works for maybe 2019, definitely 2020. Some may be remakes, some may be new, some may be karts, some may be tennis. I feel like I'm doing some sort of slam poetry, but something's coming, guys. Mario's pretty big now. He's popular with the kids. But yeah. So Super Mario Party is your call out of sorts, or your shout out. That means it's not your game of the year. So the question, of course, becomes.
Well, I already said my game of the year was God of War, but
your Switch game of the year. I should add that qualifier.
No, yeah. I mean, definitely Smash Brothers without any questions.
Same.
Yeah.
For me, it's definitely Smash as well.
And honestly, like I feel like those two just complement each other so well, because you get your story with God of War, but you get your, I guess, unlimited hours of replayability. I mean, it literally just feels like it feels like a better version of what I was already doing in Smash for Wii U. Like, it's like I never left. Like, I just kind of continue with what I already like doing, just everything improved. Obviously, there's still a few downsides that, I mean, they're addressing. They already did it with a few patches.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It can only get better, and they're definitely listening, but I don't know. Things are still get streamlined, but it's still, I mean, Smash Brothers, it's on a tier of its own. We're not going to continue to feed a fed horse, so, you know.
I mean, I have some things to say that I didn't say before about it. I do want to say, like, to Nintendo's credit, they put out some good games. Like, it's not like Smash, like, dominated that closely. Like, I really love, for me, personally, like, I love.
don't think anything came close to Smash Brothers from Nintendo, but.
For you, yeah. But I do love how, like, Pokemon.
Or the same person, but.
I do like how, like, for me, how Pokemon Let's Go, like, it really felt like you're playing the cartoon for the first time. Like, Kanto came to life in a way it never has. I thought that was really cool. I didn't play it as much as I thought I would, but I did enjoy the fact that Mario Tennis Aces
that was also good.
Turned Mario Tennis into more of a, almost like a fighting game.
Stepped in the right direction, but also a few missteps.
Yeah, there are a few missteps, but like to turn like a Mario sports game, which used to be pretty casual, generally speaking. I know Power Tennis had some advanced moves, but the last few tennises were pretty casual. To flip that into like a competitive, almost like fighting game, but just with a tennis racket. I thought that was a really cool move that Nintendo did, and it worked out well for them. But Smash, man, like, yeah, Smash wins hands down. And I think, for me at least, there's a few reasons that I don't think we touched on in our 45-minute long impressions last episode that kind of cover it. I mean, obviously, if you listen to that, you know there's a lot to say about the game, and there's all sorts of things we talked about, and there's all sorts of things we didn't talk about. So if nothing else, I think it's hard to deny that Smash is incredible value. Like, the money, the bang for your buck is, like, bar none. Like, it is crazy. But even now, like, in the time since we first discussed it, like, even more stuff is popping up, which is kind of what it's like, wait, it's still going? Like, I think the whole weekly spirit thing is interesting. Like, to be fair, this is a very small time thing. They just rotate a couple special spirits into, like, designated spots on the spirit board. And at a time where you see a game, you know, like Spider-Man giving out free suits of the Sam Raimi movie costume, or you see, like, Starlink, which isn't even selling that well, doing entire new modes for free. Like, I get that talking about spirits, weekly spirits they rotate in is very insignificant by comparison. But for those entrenched in all things Smash, it can be a big help, like with the whole spirit grind, should you choose to do that. Because, you know, I get these special spirits, but you get enhanced items too, and Nintendo is basically giving you a feedback loop to keep coming back to Smash beyond just whatever you would normally come to Smash for. And I think for me, what's cool about it and what sort of embodies why it's Game of the Year is perhaps more noteworthy than just that these exist, is there's these overarching themes, and they present different battle scenarios based on that theme. Like this coming week, like this weekend, this podcast weekend, it's all Fire Emblem. last weekend it was all like characters with glasses, which is a weird theme, but a theme nonetheless. And I feel like that is almost like a microcosm of what makes Smash like my game of the year pick, which is everything is just so perfectly aligned. The fan service, the attention to detail, the variety, all these things are true of the Itty Bitty Spirit events, but they're also true of the game as a whole. Like the amount of time, energy, the care that the developers, with Sakurai as their ringleader, the care that they put into this game is like nothing short of incredible. I mean, like there's this Game Explain video going around. I tweeted it last week, but basically they pause the game and they look around the menu. They look around using the photo mode and examine just how far you can pan the camera to the left, to the right, up, down, and see what's happening in the background. And the sheer amount of stuff packed into those stages that you will never, ever, ever see, or on very rare occasions. Like, it's huge. The amount of detail, it's crazy. And it really seems like they tried to think of everything for Smash Bros. And as like a student of Nintendo, if you'll indulge me in calling myself that, like, it's just super cool to see. Like, I expected fan service. I didn't expect this level of it, And I think even better is the amount of stuff that's coming down the pipe. I mean, obviously we have new DLC characters with Joker and whatnot, but Nintendo, they're also doing more spirits. Like, they're building out fan service through spirits in kind of interesting ways. Like, besides the weekly event, they're also rather smartly, they're taking game save data you have from other games on your Switch, and they're letting you access special spirits right with that. So right now, if you have Pokemon Let's Go, you can get a Pikachu or Eevee, depending on your version. But like, presumably they're going to use this as a marketing tool down the road, and this game's just going to forever be referencing other games and be doing fan service. Like, maybe when you get Yoshi's Crafted World, you get a Poochie, or Metroid Prime 4 comes out and you get like a Space Pirate, or hook in some third parties. Nintendo's pretty close with Grasshopper Manufacturer. In fact, Grasshopper now lists Nintendo as a major client. So, like, what if Travis Touchdown got a spirit or something like that? Or, like, one related to Travis Strikes Again. Like, the possibilities are kind of endless, and that's kind of cool about it to me. Like, obviously you need the core game to be good for any of this to matter. And I think everyone knows at this point, like you were saying, like, you don't need we all have talked about this. Like, Smash delivers on that. But for me, it's not just about the good gameplay. It's not just about the fact that I actually am able to play online without any lag, which is a weird thing to do in Smash. Or even the fact that there's versatility in a way where, like, I can have a ton of fun playing with items on. You can have a ton of fun doing 1v1s. And we're both simultaneously playing the game how we want in very different ways and getting the same amount of enjoyment out of it. If not, you may even get more than me, or I may get more than you, depending. But, like, the fact they have Omega stages and Battlefield stages for every state. Like, the fact that they thought all this through. Like, even if you put that aside, to me, what's cool about it is they basically made a playable encyclopedia of all things Nintendo. Arguably more so than any other Smash. And that, to me at least, is what won me over. I am done now. I will step down from my soapbox.
Yeah, I didn't even have to do half of that to win me over.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. I mean, it would have been a good game anyway, but it's just like, it exceeded my expectations in terms of the fan service. Like, I knew the game would be solid. We basically played it like 4 times before it came out. We played it within 3 months of it being announced. We knew it would be good. We knew it was based on the Brawl setup, basically, so we knew, like, it couldn't get worse. And Brawl was very good, but I didn't expect...
You mean Smash Wii U?
I mean, yeah, Wii U, not Brawl, thank you. I didn't expect it to, like, go this high in terms of, like, fan service and stuff. Like, I was just kind of very impressed. Now, I'm not saying the game's perfect. I think one headache we're both having is the whole Global Smash power system. It makes no sense, kind of.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they just forego that and just give us, just with the system they had in Mario Kart, just start everyone with a base 1,000 points, and every time you win, you get some points. Every time you lose some points. There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they needed to do.
The thing that I think bothers me about the GSP is I'm happy to be told I'm average. Like, I was very proud of the fact that I hit about the middle of the pack. But that middle of the pack is not actually equal to when you hit the middle of the pack. Because your middle of the pack is based on something different than my middle of the pack, but we're both told we're the middle of the pack. Except you play 1v1s, you are playing, competitively, you are using characters that are more popular. Meanwhile, I'm doing, 4-player party mode.
That, but
sometimes. Kirby, I've come to realize no one uses. Maybe, okay, I've seen a few Bowsers. I have yet to see a Kirby.
I mean, competitively, there's definitely more Kirbys.
Oh, well, maybe I just haven't encountered Kirby. Well, either way.
But you're also playing, but like you said, you're also playing free-for-alls.
Right, yeah, but I'm doing like 4-player free-for-alls or team battles or with items or with random stage elements and a lot of assist trophies for some reason. Like, I didn't set it that way. It's just happening. But you're doing like Omega and Super Serious and 1v1. Yet somehow, I sometimes have a higher GSP than you. And you sometimes have a higher GSP than me.
You definitely don't have one higher than me.
Not currently, but when we... Oh, no, it was Elvis that I somehow exceeded.
Oh, yours was higher than one of Elvis's characters.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like, that's weird. Like, it's fine. Like, on one level, I appreciate Nintendo. Like, hey, you're better than half the people that play. But the way that we can't get granular about what that means, it's like the comparison I was making.
They have them all in one bucket,
yeah,
which is just weird. But it should have been split into different things because it just makes it that much more confusing. Like, someone could be ranked 1,800,000, but like for all we know, like that could be in free for all with items.
Yeah,
I mean that'd be an amazing player, but. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's weird because like there's clearly an algorithm that's driving
what Splatoon
this.
did. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it might it'll definitely stabilize like a couple months from now. But
for sure.
But even then, like it's still not going to make it any less confusing.
The thing that bothers me is like clearly there's an algorithm driving this, as I was about to say, and like it seems like it's a mix of your character because it's somewhat character based, your win-loss ratio, and a few other things, which we don't know. But like that's what like there's a whole industry around how to make yourself rank higher on Google search engine optimization. And like, I don't think Smash Bros should be in a situation where you need to like find gurus who know how to interpret GSPs. Yeah. We should not be doing the SEO of video games. It should just be like, you're this good or you're this bad. Like it.
Yeah. And as a result, because like it's also factoring in new people, it's not even worth really looking at it right now. Not too much at least. Cause like in the early days, I remember like when I first started like climbing up the ladder, being at 600,000 was considered like extremely well. Mm-hmm. But then literally the next morning, my rank went up to 900,000. Then I climbed up a little bit. I was still 900,000. The next morning, I was at 1,200,000. And then I remembered when like 1,400,000 was considered high. And I think right now my highest one is like at 1,800,000.
Which is like 300,000 higher than the last time I looked. Not just in general, like from reading the consensus on Reddit or whatever. So yeah, it does keep growing as more people play, obviously. But it's just weird because like it even got confusing because when I started playing, because it was after online, it was well after you did. So you assumed that my starting number was a number based on what you experienced, but ended up being different because of how the rankings shuffled. So it's like you can't even be like, well, where did you start at? Because that's meaningless.
Yeah,
there's literally no comparison.
Yeah, because it depends on when you start that you get a completely different number. And for all we know, beating 4 people, I guess makes sense. It just gives you way more points than if you are beating 1, because I guess it's
because we don't know the algorithm.
Yeah, because like we don't know how it's
again,
it's calculating
it's Smash Bros SEO, which is not something I should ever have to say as a sentence in my life ever again.
Yeah, because I mean, even for a normal person, it's really hard to value. Like, how do you value winning a 1 versus 1 versus a free for all? Free for all, it's like there's all these crazy factors, but you also don't really have to fight that much. You can just let people do the fighting for you, and then you kind of just swoop in and kill them. But
I might have done some of that. My win-loss ratio is 2-1 right now, in part because of that.
Or you could also be in the heat of it and just like pretty much just playing your mind out.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's weird. It could have been a lot simpler, but they decided to not make it simple.
Yeah, and what kind of sucks is to their credit, if you get your preferred rules. And if you get, if you get your preferred rules, and if you play for a little while, and it starts kind of figuring out what your ebb and flow is as you go up and down with the GSP, you are matched pretty well. Like most of the people I was matched with were my level, and as I climbed up, they started to get a little harder. And if they got too hard, I dropped back down, and then it found the sweet spot, and it did that really well. But the problem is, if you don't have modes to choose from, you aren't like it. It sucks if you're making a competitive game and you can't actually guarantee a competitive play environment. Like it matches well, but it doesn't tell you how it's going to match necessarily. Like you don't know what exactly mode you will end up with. And they're tweaking that. They made it better since the last time we talked about this on the podcast. But like if it's something even I'm noticing and I'm more of I'm a filthy casual, like there's something that needs to be worked on, I feel like. So we'll see. It's probably something I imagine we'll revisit in a few months and just be like, hey, they fixed it, Nintendo.
I mean, after the patch, I did get 1 free-for-all fight compared to 3.
Yeah, so it is like adjusting, and
it should be 0. It shouldn't be an issue whatsoever.
Like I don't know why they couldn't. And like Elite Smash isn't. You'd be like, oh, that's the competitive mode. No, that's just like
You just
rank into it, but you can also rank back out of it if your GSP drops. But again, no one knows what triggers the GSP number.
Yeah, and it's getting harder and harder to get into, I guess, to be labeled as Elite Smash. Because it's not even a mode, it's just a label.
Yeah.
That's literally what you can just think of it as.
And it's per character. And it's per character, not the whole.
Honestly, they should have just copied what... Because that's what...
Could have just done For Glory and For Fun again,
I mean,
honestly.
no. Well, yeah, but I mean, they still needed a ranking system.
Sure.
Because, I mean, at least it's pairing people correctly.
Sure.
But they should have just copied what Capcom does for all their games. They could have their fun little labels, like Elite Smash or whatever, but they just need multiple. Like in Street Fighter, when you start off, everyone just starts as rookie with 0 points.
Mm-hmm.
And as you just gain more points, you become... like expert, experience, then like diamond level, then like platinum level.
Oh, sure.
And stuff like that. So if you're like a platinum level player, then it's like, whoa, you're like at least in the top like 100. And if you do want to, you can actually see where you rank. Like, oh, I'm the 25th best player in the world, or blah blah blah.
Right.
And what's even nicer is that you can like search videos and gameplay of those people.
And learn from the best.
Yeah, that are from the top 10. If you want to look for just the best Ryus, then you could just search by Ryu and look by rank, as opposed to this one where it just kind of like... I literally went to spectate, and it just said, here's a match happening right now in Europe. Do you want to watch it? And then I was like, all right, no.
So here's what's giving me hope that they may address this. They promised within the Switch Online app that Smash World weird video feed social network thing for Smash players. And one of the things they highlight is they want to show how the pros play and how good players play. You can look at highlights of people. So I'm wondering if they're going to move in the direction you're describing, or if Nintendo's going to actually be hand-selecting pros that they know have been in their tournaments or that are big on the Evo circuit or whatever, and then just be like, we gave you this guy, versus like what you're describing, which seems more like the game picks them based on data and then shows it to you.
I mean, you get to... you have different criteria you can search for.
That's what I mean. Like, the game picks it based on input versus Nintendo hand-selecting their favorite players. Like, there's an opportunity for Nintendo to do what you're describing with Smash World, but I don't know if they're going to do that, or if they're just going to be like, dude's curating it by hand. Like,
they kind of have to curate it now, because, unless they can figure out who, in theory, is the best player, because, what was so nice about the Street Fighter one is that you could literally search for the best Ibuki in the world and just watch their gameplay.
Nintendo knows, because they can reverse engineer their own number. They know what the number's out. GSP, like, we know we're better than X, but we don't know out of how many Y or Z or whatever number placeholder you want to use. But Nintendo knows.
Because Nintendo doesn't want you to know how bad you are.
Or something. I don't know. But yeah, Nintendo definitely has those
one of our
stats.
friends did bring up a nice point today. We were having lunch, and and one of our friends mentioned that, like, you know what, I'm going to try to become the number one ranked player, which in theory means that you are the worst one.
But to every other gamer, you're the best.
But I'm curious, is it possible, and is it achievable? So I might try that.
That's the other thing that's confusing about GSP is, like, so it is a number representing how many people you're better than, but it doesn't necessarily mean... But you don't, like, when you go up and down, when you lose a battle, you don't drop, like, oh, I lost to 3 people, I lost 4 lives, and now worse than... And it's like hundreds of thousands of people instantly. Like, that's definitely... I don't think that's a one-to-one. There's some weird... The numbers represent another number, which is where it gets really weird.
That is kind of how some rankings work, though.
Yeah. No, it's a thing, but I'm just saying it doesn't
even in Hearthstone, like, I've watched, like, some, like, professional, like, some pros play, and like, one of them is ranked like 160 and the other one's ranked like 155, and then as soon as they beat them, all of a sudden the rank 160 dude jumps to 140.
Well, yeah, but
so that one game
can make or break on that level. But I'm talking, like, if I was at 1.1 million, I dropped to 600,000. It's like, that doesn't seem quite right, but maybe.
Usually... And usually I would expect way bigger jumps in the lower ranks than I would in the higher ranks. So.
Yeah, I guess because there's such like a mass of people. Yeah, that's true. I will say, for everything Nintendo seems to be doing wrong with GSP, you know one thing they're doing really right, though? Bugs. Like, it sucks to have game-breaking bugs. There's one where if you
might have already been fixed.
This might have already been fixed, but there's one where you're Isabelle and Villager, and it will crash the game, like soft crash. That sucks. But then there's this awesome one, which might already be fixed, where if you're 2 Isabelles, and you both use a fishing line to try and grab the same assist trophy at the same time, the assist trophy will multiply over and over, basically infinite times, which means that, yes, you can make infinite Waluigis, you can make infinite Shadows, you can make infinite Majora's Mask Moons, hypothetically. Like, anything's fair game, and it just gets ridiculous. Like, this feels like I think this is secretly not a glitch. I think Sakurai's like, oh, you want Waluigi in your game? Well, guess what? here you go. And that's just, all those videos of like dozens of Waluigi's just flying all the way around the board or the stage and whatnot. But yeah, sometimes glitches can be fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be patched out, but for now, like it's making some good memes and stuff. So, that's going to be fixed. GSP, I'm sure, will be adjusted. Bugs will be patched. Ultimately, I think that, it's still the best thing Nintendo put out this year. Like, bugs, ultimately, I didn't even realize I did that. I'm very happy with this game.
Yeah.
I think, actually, I think part of the reason this game feels so impactful is because it really was, it defined the year. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, it came out and we played it. Like, Nintendo really played this thing up. They really hammed it up. Like, think about every event, every direct, every announcement. Smash was always involved in some capacity this year. Like, look at this year's E3. There's this interview I was reading with Reggie in IGN. I think it was right after the Game Awards. And he was saying that E3 is the single biggest event for generating brand engagement for Nintendo. And Nintendo had probably what? Like, you were there with me at E3. They had like, what, a dozen games in their booth, maybe? Maybe a little less.
A decent amount.
Yeah, but it was Smash that carried all the hype. Like, Smash was the theme of the booth. Smash was in every video. Smash was the talking point. Smash was the one in the treehouse for like almost every hour of every day. It's what helped to maintain the excitement in what would have been a relatively slow year otherwise. I mean, yeah, like, we got Kirby and Nintendo Labo and Mario Tennis and Pokemon. But compared to Switch's 2017, like, 2018 was definitely a bit more spread out. It had fewer high-profile games until this quarter with Smash and Pokemon. It was, I sort of said this last episode, but it was basically the sophomore slump. And what's nice is the Smash momentum was able to kind of fill the void left by the missing games that we didn't have compared to 2017. Like, I mean, like, it's kind of a slow year for a system when a fake character generates more hype than anything Nintendo's doing outside of Smash. Like, Bowsette was a big deal, and I don't know if Nintendo was pumping out things as quick as 2017, Bowsette would have gotten quite as much traction because something else would have swept it away within a day. But like, Bowsette was a big thing. Like, actually, fun fact about Bowsette, and I use fun very loosely here. Bowsette has had 34.6 million searches for her on porn websites specifically.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a sophomore slump of your Switch, Nintendo. People are going to look up your characters your fake characters that aren't even yours in a porn capacity. But no, seriously, like, I don't know how intentional it was for Smash to kind of pick up the hype mantle, if you will, but it really did feel like it was custom fit for this like slump that this year was. Like, because if you look at 2019, we're almost back to kind of boom, 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 giant first party lineup that 2017 had. I mean, we already know. And this is a lot to know going into the year. We usually don't know so much. We're getting Fire Emblem 3 Houses. We're getting Yoshi's Crafted World. Mario. We're actually not getting anything Mario, but I was trying to say Marvel. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Animal Crossing. We have that new RPG Town by a game. I think it's Game Freak, right? They're doing it. That weird, like, it's all set in one town. They showed it off during the summer. I think it's Game Freak. And then we also have the next core Pokemon game. We have Daemon X Machina. We have Bayonetta 3. We have quite possibly Metroid Prime 4. In 3 weeks, we have New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe U, or U Deluxe. That's the order of those words. Like, there's a lot already happening, and that's only first-party stuff. So, because it's so much, I feel like Nintendo it would not be beneficial to have Smash in a year like 2019. Like, you're not going to do character reveals for, like, Ribbot the Frog for Animal Crossing. It's not like, oh, new villager approaching. Like, you don't need to do that. But for Smash, you can use that to your advantage to fill empty gaps in your lineup and keep people really engaged with the brand and the product. So I don't know how. I imagine, given how clever Nintendo's been lately, that was intentional. But I think, in addition to Smash being a Game of the Year pick, like, that was an interesting thing that this year was, like, the year of Smash, even outside just the game itself. Like, it consumed everything Nintendo. And it's got to keep going with DLC, just on a smaller scale.
Yeah,
so.
Smashing good times and all that.
Yeah, what?
No, that's smashing good times and all that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that I think that with that, I'm finally out of things to say about Smash.
Really?
For now. For this episode, maybe. So should we jump to the next topic, I guess? Unless you have anything to say about Smash.
No.
All right, let's see. Next topic is... Why? Oh, we folded this Post-it backwards. I'm like, why is my hand sticky from it? Okay, next up. Jason's Sales Corner, complete with a picture of a crying egg. Is that an egg?
Sure.
I see there's a Jewish star, because I'm Jewish. Happy Hanukkah, belated Hanukkah to all my Jews out there. I don't. Is that a crying egg? It looks like, or is it a UFO?
It's the way you described the matzo ball. You said it's a wet
dough. Oh, it's a matzo ball.
It's a wet dough.
It is, but usually it's in a soup. It's not just in a puddle of its own matzo filth.
I didn't know what it was, so I just drew a doughy ball, and it's wet.
Well, I get why I did, because if it's Jason Says Corner and he's Jewish, then by definition it's the Jewish segment of the show. So thank you for that art. I will treasure. It's going straight in my shirt pocket.
It was actually so that we can drop a happy Hanukkah to the.
Oh, well, I already.
Yeah, exactly.
Hanukkah was like almost a month ago, but thank you for thinking of our Jewish listeners.
I know the world doesn't revolve around Christmas. Come on.
Tell me about it. I have to deal with it every year. But
exactly.
To be honest, I do actually like Christmas decorations, and I do like driving home in December and passing all the houses with all the lights. It's really nice. I don't know. It's really like cheesy, but like when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, so that, like, I'd watch any movie that has Christmas in it. I'd be like, I'll never experience that. That sounds so deprived. I have a happy life. Don't get me wrong, but I do like some aspects of Christmas. It's snow. Snow's a fun thing. I miss snow.
All right, now for the
anyway.
All right, onto the segment we're all excited about. Yeah.
So to put it simply, Nintendo's having a very good holiday season. Like, it's something we sort of kind of crystallized over our last couple episodes. As we get new data to discuss. But I think the runaway success of Smash is a tipping point where it's like, well, this is kind of insane. Like that, we're now in that territory. And why I say that is because right now, Smash Bros. Ultimate is the fastest selling Switch game to date in North America, and the fastest selling Smash Bros. Game to date in North America. That's to the tune of 3 million copies sold in 11 days, which puts it near but not quite at the number that Halo 2 did, and as one of the previous record holders for fastest selling launch. And it definitely makes Smash one of the top 5 overall most successful launches in North America. So, because like Grand Theft Auto did huge numbers, but prolonged. Like this sort of burst up front, Smash is now pretty much in the top 5. And in Europe and Australia, what's impressive is Smash is now the fastest selling Nintendo home console release ever in the history of the company. Like, this thing's killing it. And in Japan, it's already sold 1.3 million copies in just its first weekend. It's so popular, it's actually creating like a ripple effect. Merchandise like Incineroar plushes have sold out across the country and are going for way higher than MSRP on auction sites. Because people are like, oh, who's this cool Pokemon? I want him. Like, it's the Smash effect. The Smash Halo effect is happening. And in all, it's shaping up to look like Smash has sold, to date, about 5 million copies worldwide. That's what Japan's Nikkei newspaper is reporting, at least. Even if that number is slightly off, which is possible, it doesn't make it any less crazy, because just for context, lifetime sales of Smash on Wii U topped out in its entire life at 5.35 million, meaning that Smash has probably by now already overtaken the entirety of Smash Wii U sales in 2 weeks' time. That's how big this game is. Like, next on the hit list would be the 3DS version of Smash, which is at 9.35 million, and then after that, if Ultimate keeps going, they'll hit Brawl at about 14 million. But in both cases, Ultimate's already outpacing those launches, so if the momentum can keep up, they are going to hit those goals. Like, it's going to become the best-selling Smash. And given Switch's history with high-profile releases, it seems likely that that's actually going to happen. I mean, the fact is, with Smash, 5 of Nintendo's fastest-selling home console games of all time are now on Switch, which means 5 games by Nintendo in the last year and a half have shattered records that a whole 5 generations of Nintendo games were slowly building towards. Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and most recently now Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. All those are now some of the fastest-selling games in Nintendo's history. And they're not just selling well, they're doing the whole like long tail thing. They're doing really well. In the same press release that Nintendo talked about Smash sales, they confirmed that here in the States, Breath of the Wild has sold over 4 million copies just in the US. Odyssey has sold 4.7 million copies. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold 5 million copies. Like, these games are basically unstoppable. And what's interesting about that stat is it's a new record for Nintendo. According to Reggie, he was saying in that same IGN interview we were talking about before, that this is the first time in US gaming history that a system's top 3 sellers together are owned by more than half of the system's base. 1 out of every 2 Switch owners, more than half of all Switch owners, have Zelda, Mario, and Mario Kart. That's not an or, that's an and that's super rare. So, like, Nintendo's really doing well, and it seems like Smash is ripe to continue that trend. I mean, already you got titles like Pokemon Let's Go. It's kind of on a similar track too. According to Nintendo, Pokemon Let's Go is at let's see, I had the number. It's at about 2 million in just a month, And what's particularly impressive about that is if you look at just physical numbers, so ignore eShop sales.
All right.
Just ignore them. Just push them aside. But according to NPD, Pokemon Let's Go has had the second strongest release of any Pokemon game ever outside of Pokemon Stadium. Now that is a bit of a misnomer because they measure in revenue, not units. So yes, games like Sun and Moon or X and Y maybe saw more physical sales, more people actually picked it up. But Stadium, much like Pokemon Let's Go, was a home console release. It came with an expensive edition. It was the transfer pack then. It's the Pokeball Plus now, and that's why these two are the top 2 Pokemon games ever. But the fact that it's up there, like Let's Go is doing as well as Stadium did in the peak of the Pokemon trend back in the 90s, early 2000s, like that's a big deal. Like the fact is, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, they came in at number 5 and number 6 on the November MPD top 10 for all systems. Which, when you're up against heavy hitters like Red Dead Redemption, Black Ops 4, Battlefield, Fallout 76, they charted in that order, 1 through 4. You're doing pretty well if you're right behind them and selling 2 million copies in a month. So that does bring us to the rest of the MPD numbers as I just sort of power through this, which all around, pretty impressive. It's really just a good time for the industry. For the first time ever, every home console was able to top 1.3 million units sold in the same month, meaning that in November, here in the States, 4 million plus game systems were sold in just 1 month. Home consoles. That's a lot for an industry where not so long ago people were saying that console gaming was quote unquote dying. And now it's having one of the strongest months it's ever had. So I guess all 3 of them standing on stage together at Game Awards was more like, more of a rah-rah for the industry than it even seemed, because here they all are doing equally well. The actual order, if you're curious, in terms of revenue, Switch took the lead. PS4 had the highest number of units sold, but what's interesting is that if you double back to those unit sales, Switch has actually become the fastest selling console of this generation here in the States. From its launch in March of 2017 until now, it has sold 8.7 million units just in the US. That's faster than PS4 and Xbox One over that same time period in their lives. And what's the most interesting and impressive part to me is the Switch launched in the spring. It only had 1 holiday season until now under its belt. While the other guys, they came out in November, so they're 2 full holiday seasons in. This is like 1.5, and already it's still outpacing them. So that's kind of, for Nintendo, it's a lot of good news, and a lot of that is thanks to the fact that again, Nintendo has all these top-selling games. There's a site called GameDaily.biz, and they calculated out that since the Switch has launched, Nintendo's chart performance has included 28 different top 10 releases, 10 different top 5 releases, 3 top 3 releases, and 2 back-to-back number 1s this year alone, that being Mario Tennis Aces and Octopath Traveler. And that, like, in the Wii U days, that would be absurd to hear those numbers. Like, 28 top 10 releases in about a year and a half, that's crazy. They're really killing it. And, of course, that includes third-party games, but, like, still, that's crazy. And it's funny because, like, we viewed this year as kind of a quieter year, yet Nintendo had all this going on, was the top-selling software publisher of 2018, according to NPD, and at least here in the U.S., they saw the highest dollar sales of software and hardware since 2011, which is the sort of tail end of the Wii heyday. Like the highest dollar sales in 7 years. They're really like it's as if the Wii U never happened. It's just like they just sort of erased that bump in the road. It's impressive, and the question, of course, becomes.
So you're saying I could have had like $400+ in my pocket right now if they had just gone straight to the Switch?
Yeah, I mean the technology wouldn't have been there, so you would have had to wait a while, and you wouldn't have gotten experiences like Nintendo Land, which I think you can't do with Switch really. But yeah, in a way, you could just sat on those 400, collect a little not income.
You can. It would just require you to own 2 Switches.
Yeah, but then it's not really the same thing. I mean, I guess it is.
At that point,
but then you could have done it with a 3DS and another 3DS.
But yeah, but that's a 3DS though.
That's true. It's not HD.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so yes, you could have, to answer your question. But I think the thing now is, does this mean all that, because I'm just like gushing about these impressive sales. There's that 20 million sales goal there, that magic number that they keep talking about. Like, does this mean they're going to hit it? I have no idea. Like, it's hard to say if like they knew this holiday quarter of insanity was going to. Like, it's hard to say if they predicted this or if this exceeds their predictions or what. But really, like, if you look at everything I just tossed out there, it doesn't really matter. Like, the fact is, Nintendo's killing it right now. Arbitrary goal or not, 20 million or not. And the funny thing is, like, Nintendo sort of dug their own grave by making up that number because investors, industry analysts, they're of course going to use any possibility of missing the goal as a sign of weakness, as a sign to try to steer the ship for Nintendo. But I'd argue that there are 3 other signs of strength that counterbalance that and that no one's even talking about or thinking about. Like, first of all, Switch continues to offer probably some of the best sales of individual game franchises that we've seen in a very long time. We saw it with Mario Tennis, with Kirby Star Allies, with even the port of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Now it seems like it's Super Mario Party. We were discussing before, it's already at 1.4 million. It's number 12 on the chart. It's one of the fastest selling Mario Parties ever. And I'm seriously starting to think that any first-party game that comes to Switch is just going to become one of the best sellers in its franchise, which is probably what's going to help Nintendo keep up these high revenue numbers, even if they don't have something like Smash in 19. And part of me has this theory that Nintendo's banking on this trend a bit. I think they're starting to notice it, and I think they're reacting, because a lot of what's coming in 2019 is like the Nintendo B team. It's Fire Emblem, it's Luigi's Mansion, it's Yoshi's Crafted World. And if they were to follow the trend of becoming the fastest or best-selling entries in their respective franchises, that lets Nintendo turn a game that traditionally will sell 2 to 3 million into a game that sells maybe 4 to 5 million. And that's a big opportunity that no one's really thinking about, but could lead to a huge amount of revenue for Nintendo. Because if every game they sell just sells like 500,000 more, 1 million more, 1.5 million more than what it used to, and they're releasing, based on the list we have, they're almost at a game a month if they hit all their marks. That's a lot of extra money that they don't normally have. So I think that's one thing investors probably aren't thinking about that could be crucial. Second, you got to keep in mind that even if the software doesn't reach those high of numbers, which is certainly possible, Nintendo's still making more per game than in past generations thanks to the eShop. Digital downloads are becoming more popular than they've been. And that's 100% pure profit for Nintendo, since retailers obviously aren't taking a cut. I mean, maybe if you buy a download card, they take a cut of that, but most people just buy it on their Switch. And that's all Nintendo at that point. And according to Nintendo, eShop sales are up 105% compared to this time a year ago. And again, that's in the year of the sophomore slump where there are fewer games, but it somehow has doubled in sales. So the eShop's a really big focus of Nintendo that no one really thinks about, but can be a lot of money for them. But it does bring up a weird rumor that popped up last week. It's not really related to sales, but there's a theory floating around that Nintendo may be renaming the eShop to the Nintendo Switch Online Shop, which it all stems from a lawsuit filed by against a guy who is selling modded Switches and NES classics that are hacked with additional games. And in the legal documents, Nintendo references their own existing digital storefront as Nintendo Switch Online Shop, formerly Nintendo eShop. Now, there are a couple ways of looking at this, I think. Either the lawyer meant to say formally, like the formal name is eShop, not formerly, like it used to be called eShop, or he got confused. I mean, the Switch Online's NES game library that's constantly growing, that's kind of like a shop that you just pay for up front. Or the other option is Nintendo really is changing the name. I'm personally kind of inclined to believe that the lawyer just got his terminology mixed up a bit. Like if they're pushing back against selling modified NES classics with more games, then the NES library within the Switch Online service is what you use to prove why it's bad, because you want to make money from that, right? Like that would be what you focus on, not so much the eShop where no NES games even exist or are sold. But at the same time, to kind of go against my own point, the lawsuit documents make such a conscious effort to use the right terminology that, it's not even like they don't even call it Switch cartridges. They don't even call them like Game Card, which is the proper name. They call it Game Card with capital G and a capital C. Like they are really like dotting their I's and crossing their T's on this. So the fact that Switch Online Shop sort of slipped through makes me wonder what could it mean? Like, I don't know. Hypothetically, if they change it, do you care? Does it affect you?
Not in the least bit, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get that.
I barely look at the name of it. Just point to where. Just point me to where to buy the games, and that's it.
I think I'm in the same boat as someone that understands the ins and outs of Nintendo, and I think anyone listening probably doesn't care. But I don't.
I somewhat understand them, but
yeah,
I don't. I mean, I can see why some people would care just for consistency's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, it can get annoying, but I kind of stopped caring once Nintendo decided to start adding new to some of their names and consoles.
Yeah.
At that point,
that's my concern.
At that point, it was like, you know what? It's not even worth getting upset over. Not that you should be getting upset over.
But that is my concern is like when they were adding stupid names like new.
It was confusing and harmful to the brand.
Exactly. So, yeah. Like right now, it's a simple, clear, unified brand. Nintendo has had it for multiple generations, and eShop, very clear, is like you are buying something from an electronic shop. You are downloading a thing. But if they do like Nintendo Switch Online Shop, it reminds me too much of the whole era of Wii U and 3DS. Like, yes, it works, and it doesn't have to roll off the tongue, sure, but it just, yeah, I feel like it's going to lead to unnecessary customer confusion. And they're going to just have to change the name next generation, too. Is it going to become the Switch 2 online shop for the next one? Like, I mean, imagine you're a less informed parent, right? You have little Timmy with you, Nintendo staple, little Timmy, and you walk into a store. Right now, you've got eShop cards, and you've got Switch Online membership cards. So you buy an eShop card to buy things in the eShop, the electronic shop, or you buy Nintendo's online membership to access subscription services. So one is for downloading and one is for Netflix equivalent, basically. It's clean. Now, let's say it's called the Nintendo Online Shop. Do you need a membership to access the digital shop that shares its name? Do your old eShop cards work with the new shop? If the NES game library is part of Switch Online, does that mean you can either play them through the online membership or download them from the online shop because technically they're the same thing, just different access points? Like it just creates so many like unnecessary questions at a time where the eShop is already doing great. Again, up 105% this year compared to last. So if Nintendo were to go through with it, which I'm still leaning towards this being a misunderstanding versus a real change, but if they were to go through with it, it raises one of the biggest pet peeves of mine about the company, and that is to your point where like it doesn't affect us directly, but like when it comes to Nintendo services, I don't get why they can't stick to an idea and build on top of it. Like services are a growing thing in the tech world. Apple's money is more and more, their revenue is more and more coming out of services than it is out of iPhone sales. Microsoft saved itself and briefly became bigger than Apple again off services, not off hardware, not off anything else. It was services. So if you need to do services and build out your services like Switch Online, why do you keep changing it? Why was it at one point Nintendo Network only to then not be Nintendo Network? Why is My Nintendo a separate program in lieu of the old Club Nintendo that I can log into?
Nintendo Network make more sense than now Nintendo Switch Online, but I guess.
And then they have to change it again for the next system.
Yeah, because I feel like they're just trying to make it clear, like, no, this is for the new. I guess they're trying to ensure that no one is confused, but it
makes it more confusing. Yeah. Or like, how about this?
I guess as long as they keep it up to date with the current console, they never.
But then like, does your subscription roll over if you buy the new console?
I know it is dumb. They should just do what a normal person would do, like the other competitors. Just PlayStation Network or Xbox Live.
Yeah, like just call it Nintendo Network. It was a fine name. It worked well for Wii U, but because they wanted to burn all the Wii U, like they basically wanted to like, what's the term where it's we just burn down the whole. I forgot what the term is, but basically where you like burn all your crops or whatever. I forgot the term, but yeah, that's Nintendo's basically like, well, Wii U failed. Let's just start anew with everything. It's like, well, yeah, some stuff worked, you guys. Like Miiverse was cool, like stuff worked. But the thing that's so weird about these weird like stacks of services is like, why, when I want to log into My Nintendo, can I log in using either a My Nintendo login or the login for Nintendo Network, which is defunct? Like, why didn't they just integrate Nintendo Network into My Nintendo and make it the same? Like, there's literally a button for Nintendo Network. But apparently, also, you don't have to press the button. The other day, I logged into My Nintendo, and I forgot to do it through Nintendo Network, and it worked. So why are there two login passes to the same thing? Why create all these hoops? Why do all this? It's so nonsensical. I don't know. Like, none of this really affects my broader point about the eShop, or even about the Switch Online Shop, or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's still a secret revenue weapon for Nintendo, I think. I just hope they realize that, if they want to maximize that opportunity, they probably shouldn't be changing the brand every 2 years or 5 years or whatever, and just kind of stick with what works. Like Xbox Live has been Xbox Live since 2003 because it works, and this works. It worked. It's 100% up. It works. So we'll see. The third thing, the final thing, I think can counterbalance any investor disappointment. This is the last thing: is the NES and SNES Classic. We always just kind of throw them in passing when discussing NPD numbers, but seriously, they sell a lot. Like a lot. Like time and time again, we hear people like NPD analyst Matt Piscatella, who specifically says the SNES and the NES are the big drivers of this segment of the industry called plug and play, which in and of itself is one of the biggest drivers of growth across video games this year. November was no different. He said it again. And that's all very easy money for Nintendo since the margins are so high. Like, these things cost nothing to make. It's all profit. Unfortunately, unlike the other things I mentioned, this is strictly short-term. So, yeah, it boosts for the holidays 100% for sure. It's not going to do anything beyond that, though. Like, Reggie reconfirmed, he did an interview with Hollywood Reporter, that once the holidays are over, both the NES and the Super Nintendo are being discontinued. He also re-emphasized the whole moving away from mini classic console thing. He again was saying, Switch Online subscription, where it's going to be at. And then he went as far as to name drop Wario's Woods. I should probably say the S. Wario's Wood sounds weird. He name dropped Wario's Woods, plural. But yeah, and Adventures of Lolo, by the way. So if you have a bingo card out there and you had a spot for Reggie referencing Wario's Woods on his own accord, you should probably buy a lottery ticket, because that's something I never thought would happen, but here he is talking about it. But seriously, it's interesting to see that Reggie, they're really doubling down on the idea of Nintendo ending the classic console, mini console concept. And he first alluded to this in an interview a month or two back with Kotaku, and we talked about it here on the show. And the context of that was specifically, will there be an N64 in the future, a classic N64? And I felt like he was bluffing at the time, and I'm still not 100% sold on the idea that Nintendo's just going to throw all that free money away. It'd be perfect for next holiday season. But I'm starting to come around. Maybe they won't do it. Maybe they can't justify a cheap enough price point because of all the components for the extra controllers. Or, I don't know, maybe the PlayStation Classic underperforming or seeming to underperform is sort of spooking Nintendo, because that thing already has discounts and free gift cards with it. It's been out for a month, if even. So there may be reasons, but these are also the people who supposedly might be changing the eShop name to Switch Online Shop, so maybe they don't have the best reasons. I don't know. But yeah, it sounds like we really are at the end of the classic consoles, which I'm sure you don't mind because you never bought them.
I would have liked the N64 one.
Would you have bought it?
An N64 one? If it had Smash Brothers, yeah.
Interesting. But now, it could still happen, but we never know. So to put kind of...
It's not in the plans, or it's not on the horizon.
Yes, it's not in the planning horizon, or whatever the term is. And I thought he was bluffing. I really did. But now I'm starting to, he's saying it to multiple outlets. He's talking about it in different contexts. It's hard to say. It could go either way. But to put a pin on all this Jason's sales corner stuff, they may make the wrong decision about doing a classic console, sure. But if you look at every other number and thing we've been talking about, Nintendo's clearly doing something right. They're nailing it right now. So with that, on to the next topic. Nintendo's having a great holiday. What is the next topic? There are only 2 left. Would you like to draw?
Might as well.
And it is?
It is Pokemon Go battles.
Why is our episode just doing a normal flow? This is weird. I thought we'd get weird and do the contest in the middle, but this is literally the normal flow of the show.
I guess that would imply there is a contest.
Well, we already said there was.
Did we?
At the top,
I don't think we did.
I did.
Oh.
I definitely did.
Oh, all right.
Guy, entice the listener and keep them keep them hooked. And what better way to keep them hooked than free money, right? But yeah, Pokemon Go. So, have you tried? You haven't tried it, right? Let me ask you this: are you still interested in the battles?
Nope.
Why is that? Because I feel like originally 2 years ago you weren't interested in anything else about Pokemon Go except the promise of battles. And now the battles are out, you kind of 180'd, which I get.
Because the battles are still not what I want.
That's fair. They are not. They make sense in the context of Go, but they don't make as much sense in the context of core Pokemon.
And battles that make the battles that make the sense in Go aren't the battles that I'm looking for. So
that's fair. Yeah, this has been a long time coming. So yeah, I could see why.
I've played,
you're sitting there weighing maybe this is the thing, and then it's no, this isn't even addressing what I want. So I get it. Yeah.
It's gone from actually when I got back into Go, I honestly couldn't care less if they ever added battles at that point.
Right.
I just wanted to have chat in another medium.
Right.
And that's pretty much what I'm just building towards.
Yeah. I will say it could ultimately help if you have to raid for a chat or something. Because the way this is structured is really interesting. Ever since Niantic first showed off Go, battles was the thing. And now we finally have it. And it's interesting how it does hook into the rest of the game. And that I feel like Niantic had this weird thing where it was always this weird, delicate balancing act. Niantic and Pokemon Company needed to figure out a way that obviously Go's a different gameplay experience, as you just pointed out, than normal Pokemon. It's way simpler. They needed to somehow translate battles to that. But at the same time, the majority of what Go's existing battles are just rapidly tapping your screen and dodging. So, like, how can you add complexity to that to make battles between trainers stand out against raids? In other words, like, what's the sweet spot between the idea of simplicity and complexity? Like, how you do that, right? And I think they may have found it, but it definitely errs on the side of simplicity. I don't know how much you know about it, but I guess I could kind of walk you through the mechanics. You probably haven't really paid attention to it, but
Go for it.
What? Okay. Yeah, like the game. So basically, like the gameplay itself is about what you do in raids. You tap the screen to attack. After X number of taps, you get a charge attack, and then you can use that charge attack to inflict a lot more damage at once. But where it's different is trainer battles also introduce a new protect shield mechanic. So what this does is you can block your opponent's attacks 2 times, and ideally you'd want to block a charge attack. But since all trainer battles are actually 3 Pokemon against 3 Pokemon, you need to like kind of think about when you want to use the shield based on all the various Pokemon types that are at play. Like, sure, you can use it to stop that Blastoise's charge attack, but if you're shielding a Venusaur, would it actually be more beneficial to instead shield from your opponent's Charizard when he comes out next? Like, it's not just mindless tapping. You do have to think a little bit. And this is part of, like, I think where it differentiates from raids, because with raids, I found that if you just use the recommended team of 6 the game gives you, you're gonna do well enough. At least like when you're fortunate enough like me to have a good group, a good consistent like raiding group to do raids with. But for trainer battles,
they're talking about like World of Warcraft,
right? Yeah, you need a raiding party, and y'all need to have your role. But no, seriously, if you have like enough raid people, it doesn't matter what your types are. You don't really need to think about types or anything. You just do it.
Sounds like a Discovery Channel show in the future. Raid people.
It really does. Yeah, raid people. Next on raid people,
like I Throw Truckers,
right?
Followed by raid people.
The world premiere of raid people. But no, for like trainer battles, like you do need to think about which.
More than just a game.
It's more than just there's a meta. No, but you do need to think about like which Pokemon types complement each other to fill the gaps, because you only do have 2 shields, so you actually need to build a team, and you can save different teams and everything, which is nice. But what I actually found more interesting about trainer battles is not so much how they work themselves, but what they give you in return for the work you do. So whether you win or lose, you're going to get some items. They can include a special Sinnoh Stone, I believe it's called, which you can use to evolve some new Pokemon, which is fine. That's great. And you get those items whether or not you win, so that's nice. You can do it up to 3 times a day, battle against a person, or I think it's once against the AI per day, so you get basically a nice little like item mill. But what actually matters, in my opinion, is that the trainer battles give you the opportunity to equip your Pokemon with a second charge attack. And the second charge attack, that can actually impact raids in a huge way. Because normally you only get 1 charge attack per Pokemon, right? And if your Pokemon's a dual type, the charge attack's only going to apply to 1 of their strengths. But what happens, especially if you use the raid recommendations, party recommendations, is you might be it might say like, this is a great Pokemon because their charge attack is perfect for fighting this raid. However, their main type may be weak against whoever, or vice versa. It could go either way. But with a second charge attack, you can now actually like really take advantage of these dual types. And since the second charge attack slot works with the same TMs as the main ones do, should you get TMs, that means you can ultimately customize your dual type Pokemon to be exactly whatever combo you need it to be to succeed at those raids. And I wouldn't go as far as to say this becomes like an actual major game changer for like the raid system, but it absolutely can be a huge benefit for the game's underlying primary goal, which is still filling your Pokedex. The game is ultimately still about expanding your collection and catching Pokemon. And anything that gives you extra help in achieving that goal feels like it's a win for the game. So like, all this trainer battle stuff helps with raiding, which in turn helps you get more Pokemon, specifically elusive legendary ones, and that's pretty much what you want to do. So it does have kind of more of a feedback loop, and the whole thing just like, it does feel really thought out. Like the trainer animations, not so much. They look real for a game that has such good animations of Pokemon, and your little walking animation's fine. Like, when the trainers win and lose and throw the Pokeballs, it looks like, I think they forgot like 10 frames. I don't know. It looks really weird. But regardless, like the actual setup is pretty good. Like Niantic breaks the battle system, Gesundheit, into... I'm waiting for you to sneeze, Gesundheit. Niantic breaks the battle system into 3 different tiers. There's the Great League, Ultra League, Master League. And each of them have their own Pokemon you can battle with a CP of X amount or lower. And obviously it grows exponentially. But besides just giving a way to more evenly balance out like Pokemon types for your party, because you may have some that are lower CP, so you do a lower one so you can get a dual attack for them for a raid later or whatever. It also just makes it way more accessible. Like, even if you only have weaker Pokemon because you're just getting started with Go or you're just getting back in, you can play an experienced player and still have a good shot of winning because they can cap the CP depending on the league you're in. And it doesn't change how the battle plays out. It's just the strength of who's playing, and it's just sort of catering to allow everyone to play everyone on kind of an even playing field. Which is, to me, especially crucial given how heavily Niantic is still really emphasizing real-world interaction. Like, you can battle online against other people, but they have to be best or ultra friends with you, which are like the top tier. I mean, you have to interact with them in real life a lot. Any other battle is strictly physical proximity to one another. And I'm kind of surprised, now that I think about it, that like if you and I were battling, like if we're in a raid, right, and they're like, hey, we should battle and get some items, there's no actual way for other people to watch that. Like, it'd be cool if they did like a spectate mode where you could like literally view a battle unfolding and maybe even like place wagers on it, like sort of how Smash Bros does it. I don't know, like there's opportunity there that I think Niantic could expand on. And it's a point that like a lot of my coworkers in my raid group, we were all kind of like, because we were doing it today, we were doing different battles, and we're like, wait, we can't actually see how this is going. We're seeing your reactions, but we cannot see what's on your screen, and we can't all huddle around the phone. So like that could be a good opportunity for Niantic to expand on this. But granted, the entire like real world aspect, like all this may be restrictive if you don't have a ton of local folk you play with in person. And like the spectate thing that I'm talking about is kind of worthless if you don't have people who play with in person. But it makes sense from Niantic's perspective. I mean, the huge push they're giving to going out and physically interacting with others has really worked well for them. They put out some stats for 2018 the other day, and it's something like 4.4 billion Pokemon were caught on just the community days. You know, those once-a-month days where they, for 3 hours, sometimes for a whole day, depending on the Pokemon, they'll put out a special Pokemon, and you go and you collectively catch it. And on just those days, 500 million kilometers were walked. Like, a lot of people are doing this and doing it in mass, and as I'm sure you can imagine, that's huge money for Niantic. I mean, anecdotally, I got suckered into paying for stuff on the last community day. You and me and a few of our friends went down to Long Beach for the December one, and there's so much going on that I needed to buy extra Pokemon and item storage and a premium raid pass and use real money. And like, if I'm doing that, like, judging how many people were there out and about in Long Beach, they probably made a ton of money, because if like I was doing that, there's probably at least a couple dozen other people doing that out of however many. We probably saw like 100 people playing over the course of our little walk around, and it's a lot of money, and it of course doubles as free marketing for it. That's basically viral marketing. It's very crowd wise, like, I mean, you could test this because you were with me at both of these. It's very reminiscent of that first launch weekend in 2016 when we were walking around Culver City and there were people everywhere. Like, Long Beach felt kind of like that, but this is 2 years in. So, like, it doesn't surprise me to see that Niantic's really emphasizing the real-world aspect. And while it does suck for some people, I get, like, maybe down the line it can expand it, but for now it kind of makes sense. I mean, like, there's a reason, for example, that Pokemon Go's November revenue was up 150% compared to a year ago. $80 million in November. Or there's a reason that, App Annie, they're an analytics firm, they're saying Pokemon Go is the 7th highest revenue generating game in the world in 2018. So people saying it's dead, it's definitely not dead. It's why Niantic, here's one more stat, it's why Niantic is now valued at $3.9 billion. That is more than Square Enix, than Capcom, than Sega. They are a bigger video game company than all three of them, off Pokemon and the promise of a Harry Potter version of Pokemon Go. Like, it's not, and I guess Ingress. Sorry, Ingress. But yeah, it's crazy. And Trainer Battles seem poised to just keep that going by doing, like, just enough newness to the equation, but still sort of keeping it very on mission with, with all the physical in real world stuff. So I'm kind of impressed by it. I don't think it should have taken 2 years to do it, but now that they've done it, it works. It does what they need it to do, and it does it kind of cleverly. So that's kind of that on Pokemon.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Pokemon.
I think that's Pokemon. I think we only have one more topic, unless you have any surprise topics you want to just throw in.
I'll have to just draw the card just out of respect
of the
system.
So the last card, where's the card? Oh, there's the card. It's like the last card is Jason's gaming philosophy. So that's interesting, because that's not an eShop giveaway. That specifically does not say the word eShop or giveaway. I feel like I have been duped. So, am I supposed to be answering this, or I don't know what it's not a question or a it's a statement. Jason's game philosophy. What does this mean, and what do I do with this, and why, and with who, and when, and how?
Anything else?
I think I hit all the journalistic questions.
Okay.
And what?
So essentially, that is the gaming. I mean, the giveaway, so to speak. But we're just taking it in the way Jason plays, kind of direction. So instead of in the past, we would have you guys, just say what something you liked about Smash Bros. Or your favorite character or stuff like that. But Jason, as you guys know, the podcast has a very interesting way of playing games, in which he
doesn't.
No,
I try to.
No, yeah,
I feel like I need to defend myself slightly. I do play. I just wish I could play more.
And this is not a
judgment.
This is not judging Jason. This is not a tirade on Jason. This is just I'm giving Jason the complete benefit of the doubt. Sometimes people's lives are busy. Sometimes people have other things they're interested in, as much as they say they're interested in Nintendo, and they just never.
Shots fired.
And they just don't get to finish a game. They'll start a game and stuff happens, and they just never get around to finishing it, or they'll buy a game and never get around to starting it, or.
I do not have a single game in my library that I have not at least started.
Yeah, you had a few at one point.
I don't anymore.
I know.
I said I do not.
That's what I said at some point.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
If you ever some of these went on for years, by the way. But anyway.
Right, and I course corrected because I realized
I know.
ways.
That's how you still did that.
Listen, Rabbids Go Home, I got for $5 on Amazon. It sat there for a while, and I'm like,
it's not even the one I was thinking of.
I know, and then I was like, oh yeah, I could push some rabbits in a shopping cart, so I did. And I'm here to tell you it's not Katamari Damacy.
Anyway, so pretty much in order to qualify for the gift card, you just have to write in the comments which game. I'm just out of curiosity that you want to play that you never got around to starting because you never bought it. What game have you started and just never got around to finish it for one reason or another? Or what game did you buy and just never got around to starting it, but you actually purchased?
To simplify that prompt, what game have you Jasoned? Right? That's what you're saying. What game fell into my style of not finishing? What game has been Jasoned in your life? I mean, we'll put the full one on the page. I'm just saying, that's kind of abbreviated.
I don't have to think about it.
I wasn't asking you. I was asking them. But yes, what game have you Jasoned? That's a good question. We should start with that. I can tell you many that I've Jasoned because I am Jason.
Resident Evil for the Wii.
Was that you never started? You never finished?
I bought it because it was 20 cents on GameStop.
What?
Yeah, it was 20 cents at GameStop. So
wow,
it was
that is a bargain.
So I was like, why not? And then I just never got around starting it. I thought all right, I'll play when I get home, and just didn't.
So I
did try it a couple weeks ago, but yeah, that was probably
You've just given me the greatest gift of the holidays, which is knowing
that you're not alone.
You are Jasoning harder than I'm Jasoning. I have no games I haven't started. You have one.
No, I already started it.
Ah, man.
Man,
there goes my gift. that was like, fine, I can hold it over you.
And even then, it wasn't as long as your world record of, I think it was a couple years for Pokemon Black, and then you also had another one.
Black I also got from Amazon. Basically, here's what I'm telling you. Whenever I get a game on sale to Amazon, that one was Rabbids. Okay, whenever I get an online game on sale, or a game from the internet on sale, a game that I purchased on the World Wide Web on sale, those are the ones that fall through the cracks. Because clearly I wasn't motivated enough to buy them in the first place. So then when I do buy them, I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. But no cracks have been falling anymore, or all the cracks have been sealed.
Yeah,
there we go. That's
ideally, if you can think of a game that that you really wanted to get into, for example, Elvis and I, we started Tales of Graces years ago.
Yeah.
But then I don't know what happened, but at some point we just kind of went a couple months without having played it, to almost a couple of years. And when we tried playing it again, it was so long that we kind of forgot what was going on, and the menu was kind of crazy, and the story on RPGs are kind of convoluted that we just had to start over. So we started over, and now we're finally past that one point, and we're actually closing in on the
minus
end of the
the tail end of the story where you actually get close to finishing it. The whole playing it and then coming back and be like, what? That's my life.
Yeah, which I imagine happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone has the time to actually replay the whole game and try again. Some people, unfortunately, just don't have the time.
I like to think of myself, and I've said this on the show before, I like to consider myself a game enthusiast more than a game gamer.
Yeah, so I just
Or
so I'm just
gamer.
curious to hear about games
Yes,
that,
I'm very curious. That's a really good prompt.
yeah, games that you wanted to play but never got
So-
around to, games you bought that you never finished, or games you started and never finished.
So we'll highlight some of them, I guess, next episode.
You have to
And-
tell us why. Just the game that you.
Yeah, you don't need to say why, but the more
Unless
the
it's
more
like a-
story, the better, because we're gonna share some of these next episodes, so I can have solace in the fact
Because
that
unlike
there are
Jason,
others
I'm
like
sure
me.
you guys will actually have a valid reason outside of like, you know
Who?
what, I just wanted to read
That's fine.
Twitter one night, or
Listen, I want to read Twitter 24/7.
Or I
It's
just-
not just one night; it's my life. Twitter has consumed me and all that is good about me. I'm just an empty void of tweets. But no, I'm actually really curious because it will bring me solace to know that I'm not alone. So, yeah, leave a comment, I guess, on the blog post for this episode. That's episode 192. And tell us exactly that, what Angel was saying. And we'll highlight some of you, and then I guess we'll just pick one at random. Or if someone tells a really good story, maybe we'll give it to them. We won't tell you how we're going to pick. So the more you tell us, the better chance you have, unless no one tells us anything, in which case we'll just pull a name out of a hat. But we would appreciate more detail. Yeah, and I guess that pretty much does it for this episode. That was an interesting way to end the year. So to make sure, I guess, that you don't miss our next episode where we reveal the winner and share your stories, because I'm actually very interested to hear these. Tune in. It'll be on January 6th is when we're back. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. Our YouTube channel is RandNintendo.com. Any other podcasting app you use, we're going to be there. And that way you'll get the podcast pushed to you. Alternatively, if you prefer to manually pull it, so to speak, you can follow us on Twitter at RandNintendo, and we'll tweet it. And yeah, I guess that pretty much does it. We're of course going to have news and impressions and everything next episode. We're probably going to go back to our usual format. As much as I enjoy drawing these little cards out of a box, it doesn't always make sense to draw them out of a box. Sometimes it makes sense to just talk like normal people. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll be back in the new year, January 6th. And until then, happy holidays, happy new year. And Angel, final word?
nope.
The final word of 2018 for Random Tail Podcast is no.
Oh, have a good year.
Ah, that's unusually positive for you. Wow.
All right.
Hear that, guys? Everything's going to be okay.
I
Here
didn't
we
say
come.
I hope you have a good year. I just said have a good, make it happen.
Well, it's still positive.
It is, because I mean, you are the driver of your destiny, so it's as good
Wow,
as you
this
make
is
it.
wow. So let's all strive for a better 19.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes actually from this year was from when I went to it was like a career talent development program at Disney,
Uh-huh.
and my biggest takeaway was that your dream job isn't getting your dream job isn't a dream, it's a decision. So if you decide to get something, then you will, you'll drive to do what you need to do to get it. It's not, if you keep it a dream, then you're just going to keep making excuses for yourself, and you're just going to keep procrastinating it and not do it.
Can we do an Angel's Life Advice corner at the end of every episode? That's pretty solid.
Kind of how I'm doing right now. But yeah.
Wow. Okay, that got darker. Wait, that's not. But you know what you're gonna do in 2019?
I know.
I'm gonna make it a decision.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's all make decisions.
Yep.
We'll see you next
We're
year.
gonna have a successful 2019.
Yeah, we'll see you next year, guys.